Hello again. So soon.
Well, fancy meeting you guys here.
Oh,
Hey,
Joanne,
Joe.
how you doing? Long time no see. Like
I don't even have my makeup on today. I just been running.
look good with no makeup.
Oh
would not
God,
be-
love ya. I don't
No,
think so. My
sincerely.
eyes.
Isn't it the eyes? It's always the eyes.
Yeah, I can't. You can't. I don't have
Flippin' eyes.
eyelashes without makeup or nothing, right? Like there's just nothing
Yeah,
there.
no, I totally feel that. Hey, Sam, we're just talking about
Hey,
eyes
Sam.
and mascara. Did you want to weigh in?
I mean, I am in the beauty industry, but I'm more on
Seriously?
hair, not
Hair.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Sam, did Dexter tell you I met him?
He did tell me that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we
He's
met
a
about
good friend of
Halifax South.
mine. Yeah.
Yeah, he said he's a pretty cool guy.
He's
Really
a cool guy. He is. He
And he
had,
told me lots of cool things about you. So
oh God. Hopefully all good.
it was all good. He was
Okay, good.
raising you up. Yeah.
Good,
No, he did tell
okay,
me the
good.
bad stuff.
Nice.
nice.
Yeah, nice guy.
How are the puppies?
Puppies are awesome. They're
Good.
getting big. They're getting messy now though, like rolling in shit and you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and now
So
it's the
like
hard part.
toddlers.
Oh yeah, totally.
Was there
Yeah.
something online that we could find out if we're a DISC?
Yes, if you go to the Myers-Briggs personality test,
Oh,
the
I've
free
done that
test
one.
is on. You've done
Yeah.
that?
Oh
I think
yeah.
That's
we've
what
all
it
done
is.
Myers-Briggs at some point, right?
Yeah, that's what it is.
But that's like ENT, like I'm an ENTP. So what does that, how does
Yeah,
that?
I don't know how it relates
Okay.
either.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
not the
why
same
it's good
way.
to have the class with Colin. And
Okay.
I did it, but I can't even remember it all. So I'm hoping he does do another one so I can learn more from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he happen to record it? Because that would be so valuable.
You know what?
think
He
it
may
is.
have. It might be up on YouTube for KW.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. I should go
I'd
back
like
and
to,
look.
yeah, I'd like to review that. So then when we do the live one, I'll be able to focus more.
And if you have questions from it, and like if you
Yeah.
want to expand on it, right? Yeah, I think I'll review it too. Good idea, Sharon.
Yay, me.
Not this weekend. Hey, you. Okay, I'm turning off my camera. I'm gonna put on some makeup while somebody else talks. And I'll come
Hey,
back with
Ray.
makeup.
How you doing, Rach? You seem very low key.
Trying to figure out things.
I know.
My kids are doing their schoolwork and then their daycare is being shitty and saying they're not going to take them back. And if they do, they'll only take them back for certain hours and the hours don't work. And it's just, I don't know what to do with them.
It's hard, Rach. There's a lot of people in that situation. I have a friend of mine that's going to be taking her course in another, like the course online, the Zoom, and she has a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. And it's like, if she misses an hour of that class, you know, I can't imagine. Mine are 13 and 16. They're causing other issues. But when it comes to homeschooling and stuff, they know, right? But I can't
Yeah.
imagine. My heart goes out to you.
Yeah, that's a tough spot you're in, Rach, for sure.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah, I'll
Not
figure it
good at
out.
all. Yes, I actually think that there should be something in place, at least provincially, that prevents organizations like the daycares and whatnot from actually exiting kids. I think that there should be something in place.
Well-
It's not right.
And it's basically like, if you're an essential worker, you can have care, like they're not allowed to close to you, because they tried to close and we were like, explanation, please. You can't just close. You're
Right.
literally given money to open. And so she's like, oh, actually, yeah, we're open. And like, we're going to do 8 to 4. And we're like, I'm sorry, 8 to 4. Like most people work 8 to 4. How are we supposed to get them there and pick them up in the time that we're supposed to go to work? Like, I don't know. Anyway, it's just stupid.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That
Like,
sucks.
it's just too much to figure out.
Yeah, and my kids are kind of through all that. So like my daughter right now, she's at her girlfriend's place for the lockdown. So, you know, she called me this morning because I'm up at the crack of, oh my God, every morning. And she called because Kent just got closed down. So I can't remember what that's called, but yeah, anyway, so they're shut down at least until tomorrow, maybe longer.
Yeah, like they were an exposure site.
Thank you. There's the word I couldn't find.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So she was unhappy because she drove from, you know, girlfriend's house to Kent which was like a 30-minute drive, and got there and realized it was all shut down. And she's a supervisor, so somebody should have told her.
Yeah.
Anyway, yay.
All right, good morning, guys. Come on.
Hey, Chad.
Hey,
How's it
Chad.
going?
Oh, it's almost like a reunion. We get Dennis and Rachel.
We're
This is like is it Wednesday night right now?
Yeah, is it Wednesday night? Yeah. Well, it's Wednesday afternoon. I do have to be on later on tonight, so it's going to be another big day
Oh,
for me.
another long day.
Yeah. Anyway, such is the course. I see Dennis is signed in, but he's nowhere to be found. Okay, so what I am gonna, there's a few things I have to test to make sure that I have screen sharing abilities for the session this morning. I'm gonna ask everybody to turn their monitors on, please.
So Dennis is he's gonna be about 5 minutes late, he said, to let us know. I think he's dropping his daughter off.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Appreciate it.
Mom, you
Joanna,
want
you
the
there?
camera on?
Sorry?
Mom, he's talking to you, Mom. Yes, he's got
I'm here.
the camera on, Mom.
Joanne's putting her makeup on, Chad.
Oh, is that what you're doing?
And that's-
Put her
That's, yes, and that's her daughter, who's her assistant now in the business.
Oh, right on. Pretty cool. All right, no worries. Hey, Dennis, you're back. Good to see you. Okay, so what's going on is we're on Unit 11. You guys enjoying Ignite so far? Everybody's getting some good stuff out of it, learning a bit of the business. So you're almost done. Session 11 is close the deal. It relates to the contract to close a section or process of a real estate process. What they've allotted was 3 hours to teach this. However, that's what the course material is saying. 3 hours is the time frame that we should be getting through this material. However, we're booked in from 10 until 12. So it's, we're condensing 3 hours worth of material into 2. So we're going to have to move fairly quickly through the material. We're going to have some interactive sections of this. So everybody full participation. I like it when people participate because we get different perspectives, different stories, and people can relate a lot better and learn better from each other, I'm very sure. Hello, Joanne. Good morning.
How are you?
Very well. Things are good.
Good. Yes, I have makeup on now.
That's what the whole thing was. All right. All right. So what we're going to do is love hearing everybody's thoughts, love hearing people's conversations and comments on things. So what we'll do is just make sure that we keep mind of our time frame, because again, we're condensing 3 hours into 2 today. All right. So we can't have long explanations on different things. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people on this morning besides myself, which is great. So we just want to make sure that everybody has a say-so when they're ready to have some manner of contribution to the conversation. We'd like everybody to participate, okay? All right, so session 11 in Ignite is dealing with the process from the contract to close stage. Does anybody kind of know what that means? Does anybody have an idea or an interpretation of what that term means, contract to close?
So I would just say everything's been signed. And this is what I'm guessing. I don't know. Everything's been signed and we're just waiting for the completion date. So that time in between until it's closed, you walk in the door, you shake your hand, say thank you. That's what I would think.
All right.
I would say it's everything from the beginning right to the end. So from that first conversation, contract signed, going through the steps to the end.
Yep, you're absolutely right, because that's exactly what this is, and it's every step of the way that you endeavor on, from the day that you answer the phone and somebody says, "Hey, I'm interested in buying or selling." Hopefully, that's exactly what this course is taught you so far. So right up until now, and I think Melissa, she covered Unit 10, correct? All right, so Melissa Geddes, I think it was negotiating the deal. Is that what the last unit was for you guys? Yeah. Okay, so obviously there's little tips and tricks she would have explained to you about the negotiation process in order to get your offer accepted. Once it's accepted, now we're moving on to the contract to close. All right, you've got the contract in place. What now? So that's what section 11 covers for us right now. I am going to. This is kind of a paperless world. So however you guys are able to make your notes, I'm going to cover a couple of things here before we get into the course material. And this is just kind of preemptive wording, because this is the important buzzwords and phrases that you are going to want to know, and you're going to identify them by the time we get through this course material. These phrases and these terms are going to come up. But I want to highlight them now because I think this is really the most important takeaways for me when I went through this course material. And this is the second time I've taught this. So, be kind. I'll do my best. But what I look at is this, the mission statement of this particular course. All right. So if you look at your, everybody have their student workbook? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Now, one of the things that you were asked to do, before I go any further, how many people do I have? How many people do I have online that printed off all of their material last night? 2?
I don't have a printer and I can't go to the office, so
Oh.
I did mine last
I
week.
have,
I had
I
it.
have it on here. Like I'm
Okay.
following.
Right. Okay. So that's great to know you have it. And it is a paperless world, so I'm not going to fault you for that. But I mean, this program was developed a number of years back. So, I mean, the pressure is going digital and paperless. So that was good to know. How many people here are checklist people? Okay. Yeah, most of us. Dennis, are you sure? Yeah. All right. So that's good, because that's just an indication to me about all of the people. Like this is the important thing. Attaboy. There it is. So I'm gonna be able to share my screen and show you a few examples of different things. And then the course material. At this stage, it's critical, and we have to emphasize systems in this process and having the tools surrounding you. And checklists, I think, are one of the biggest things that you're going to need to control your real estate business. Checklist keeps you on task and keeps you on track. Okay, so nothing important slips through the cracks and you're like, oh my God, we missed that step. How did I miss that step? Having the systems and structure in your business will help keep you on track and make sure that you get through a real estate transaction as smoothly as possible. Okay, so the mission statement for this particular unit. Okay, I think it's in your student handbook, but if it's not there and you don't see it, I highlighted it. I wrote it down as well. It is to conclude a successful real estate transaction and secure a customer for life. Okay, so a successful real estate transaction, because once you've negotiated the transaction as per Melissa's teachings in the last unit, now it's to conclude it. Now that you've got it, what now? Making sure that you have the systems and processes in places to ensure a successful transaction and secure a customer for life. That's the name of this game. Having a customer for life will ensure longevity in your real estate career. I promise you that. When you do a great job, when people are happy, they will become your advocates and they will become repeat clients for the rest of your real estate career if you do a great job. If they know and that you're in it for them and you did the best that you could and you had amazing results by the end of it, they're going to be excited. They're going to be hugging you. They're going to be thanking you with appreciation on the closing date. And then thereafter, they're going to be extremely excited when somebody says, hey, I'm looking at listing my house this year, or I'm thinking about buying. You're the first name that they put on the table if you follow these steps, right? If you don't do a great job, if you're disorganized and you didn't know how to handle the transaction appropriately, that will reflect in the success of the transaction and how smoothly it's run. And if it doesn't run smoothly, it stresses the clients and it creates anxiety in the clients. And you're the professional that's supposed to remove that from the transaction. And if you don't, and it becomes turbulent, that's where this particular section comes into play. And that is when you close the deal, and it's kind of a frosty closing. It's a little bit awkward because it wasn't as smooth, it wasn't as enjoyable. as the transaction should have been. So this section is to guide you through to how to properly orchestrate this part of the process so that you do have a customer for life or a client for life. Okay.
Now,
There-
Chad, just
Yeah.
quickly, that's a concern, only because where it's COVID right now and we're brand new, steps and processes, and
Yeah.
not actually like I wouldn't like, it's good because I'm here and I'm learning. I'm getting my foundation, I'm understanding the systems, I'm able to take these courses. But with COVID, I'm not able to run on the coattails of my mentor or anyone that would actually take me with them, right? It's just not. So I'm big on steps and processes, and I know Sherry is too. So I guess that's my biggest hurdle, is not being able to go and say, so tell me how that goes. Because because somebody has to give us an opportunity. So that's the tough part. So understanding and you telling how those things or how that would look and the steps of process are great, because we can't physically be there to see it happening. Does that make sense?
It does, absolutely. And you're going to learn a lot about that process this morning here.
Good.
So that in part of having us as your instructors is we can give you practical examples. I know most of you guys, I think almost all of you guys, has everybody studied with me on Wednesday evenings? I believe you guys have. No? Only one no, Sam. Okay. So I hope that the benefit of my examples, and sometimes I get very in detail with my examples that I give, but I've been through a lot in my real estate career. So I can offer you, and I'm sure that Brenda and Angela and Melissa and all the other instructors that helped through the Ignite program have given you practical examples so that you can take the course material and connect it to a real life circumstance, right? Right. So that I think that is a very important thing that we can share. How does that apply? Now, during the interactive part of this material, we're going to be able to cover that, right? And you guys get to know, kind of throw out what your knowledge is. I mean, some people here are homeowners and some aren't. You've bought and sold and things. So there are different experiences that you guys can share. And we'll get to that section a little bit later on. So for now, there's a couple of terms that I want you guys to write down. Okay, because this is really, I think, the standout things for me, the guts of this particular module or unit. Okay. Set expectations. And we'll elaborate on that in a bit. Set expectations. Have any of the other course instructors brought that term to light for you? Yes? Good. Okay, because that is critical. That is critical in avoiding problems. Okay. Project manager. Project manager. I've always used the term quarterback. That's my term that I like. It's kind of the same thing. Project manager may be a little bit closer to all the responsibilities that you as the real estate agent have in a real estate transaction, as if you were building a house. There's a project manager, there's a lot of moving parts, and there's a lot of other people that are involved, right? So they are the project coordinator, the project manager, to ensure everything goes well and the results that you're looking for are accomplished. I use quarterback because we're a quarterback. You know, we're the head of the team here, and again, to show everybody what their roles and responsibilities are throughout the whole process. So I like quarterback, but project manager is the term that they use in this module. Excellent customer experience. That's the goal here, guys. That's the goal in your real estate career. That's the service industry. Excellent customer experience. Okay. Next, communicate. And then after that one, communicate. Write it down. And after that one, communicate. Communicate times 3. Can't emphasize that enough. Okay. You're going to see in the course material that it is not possible to over communicate during this process, because I'm telling you, the more you keep the line of communication open, the less likely mistakes will happen and problems will surface. Okay, so those are just the notes that I took when I read through this course material and all the very standout things. There's going to be some other things that may be more meaningful to you, but those are the ones that I really think are the important tones for this particular unit. All right, so I'm going to have to share my screen, or at least give it a try. Jessica was reminding me this morning that I'm supposed to be on instructing, but I did ask her whether or not I have the ability to share my screen. So I'm going to try. Okay, do you see my screen there now, guys? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, so that's going to be instrumental for what we're doing this morning, because I am going to bring up the student handbook here. Bear with me.
So Chad, while we're waiting, how's the Wednesday night class going? And has this COVID affected people in the current courses or exams? I know exams are pushed off, but is everything
It has.
still?
Yeah, it has in the way that the commission canceled the exams, so nobody's writing exams right now.
Okay.
The enrollment is down. I did announce I made arrangements with Laura Lee that I'm going to be ending the Wednesday night sessions in June.
Mhm.
I want to participate in my summer without having the commitment of having to be online every Wednesday night.
Yeah, good for
The
you.
other thing is, it became a lot because I had upwards of 25, 27 people, and I don't know that I was specifically able to add the value that I wanted to on those Wednesday nights
Yeah.
to cater to people's specific needs and individual needs. It just got too big.
Mhm.
Christine Chasson was great because she offered to help. And I think we're going to have to restructure all of that and see what we can do about Wednesday nights. Maybe break it up into a couple of different study group nights. Maybe specific time. Okay, we're going to cover units 1 to 3 on this night, and then next week we'll do, or break it up somehow and figure it out. But so we're down to about 6 people that are consistently participating on Wednesday evenings. But once I've seen them through to the exam, I think I'm closing up shop personally. I might jump in from time to time and help out, but and there's a lot less people right now. I think they wanted to get in for the spring market, so I find there's less people right now that are joining in.
Right, makes sense.
Oh, good for you, Chad. It was a long run. You were over 3 years doing this.
Yeah. It was. It definitely was a long run. Big commitment. There was a lot of late nights and a lot of big Wednesdays, including today. So, okay.
A lot of times that was past Sherry's.
Look how many people you've helped become a realtor, though.
Yeah, very
Amazing
rewarding,
Wednesdays.
guys. And that's
We all remember Chad right from the start. You're the
Yeah.
first face.
How
on
many
the
people that
slide.
have gone to other agencies too, which sucks.
they're lost. So we'll eventually get them back.
Yeah, it's true.
Right. And there's a lot of good things, including this type of training for you guys. So it's an amazing company to work for, and you don't have the same advantages anywhere else as you do with Keller Williams. So okay, so setting expectations, table of contents on page 3 of your material. Obviously, this is setting the expectations of what we are learning today. All right, so you guys are considered cappers in training, people who are going to succeed in their real estate careers. Cappers are the people who are performing at high levels, so that will be you guys. All right, so today's expectations for a capper in training, which is on page 5. Okay, know the basic concepts or the basic steps to a contract to close process. So we'll review that. Identify your contract to close responsibilities, okay, when you're representing buyers and sellers throughout the real estate process. Explore common issues that can occur in the contract to close process and workable solutions. So that's the section that's more interactive for us. right? That's where you guys, I really want you guys to step up and give us some examples and then some solutions. You know, this might happen, and this is the way we should probably work through that to find the solution, because when you find the solution, that's when we provide our true value to our clients, right? That's the sticky situation that people think, oh, real estate, I've sold a house before and it was seamless. Well, that's not going to always be the case. There's going to be things that pop up, and you're going to have to be able to navigate through those problems and have to find the best solution for your clients. And that's where you really show value. Leveraging your resources is a section that we'll explore. All right. All of the things that we add to the equation, that's not just our knowledge, it's our support, it's our systems, it's our affiliate partnership that surrounds us to help guide people through with knowledge and their service to be able to get the client their needs, to service their needs. So that could be a lawyer or an inspector or an insurance broker and all those people. We have to leverage those resources to be able to help our clients navigate through these complex transactions. Implement post-close systems, and that's the conclusion to all of this. Post-close systems that ensures referrals for the long term and win clients for life. Okay, so that's ultimately to do a great job and to win clients for life. Okay, so with the Ignite faculty, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to quickly touch on the action reveal, because have you guys been participating in that every session? Have you been going over your daily 10-4s? No, I didn't think so. Some people
No.
saying yes, some people are saying no. All right, so the daily 10-4. So guys, this is important. Every new agent that joins my team, this is the something that we sit down and say, your day has to have prospecting in it. You definitely have to reach out to people. You have to work on your business, not always in your business. And this is part of working on your business, is the daily 10-4. Okay, accountability. You know, some people are just kind of very independent, and unless they have some people around them that will, or some structure around them, systems that keep them accountable to their business, they just kind of go with the breeze. You wake up without intention every day and you just react to whatever's going on, instead of waking up with intention and going into the day to do what you need to do to work on and in your business. Okay, so the daily 10-4 is that measure of accountability. You can have a coach like your PC coach, and I hope you're all working with Colin at this point, but this is his jurisdiction, right? Keeping you accountable. Guys, if you set this goal, how do you expect to reach it if you're not working towards it every day, right? And these are the things that you need to do. So in your daily 10-4, all right, 10. So 10 contacts added to your database, all right? You need to add to your database every day, right? I'm mentoring 3 people right now, and that's the one thing that I'm, you know, at one point, and it's usually my 3rd meeting that I set up with them, is talking about, and later on we'll talk about scheduling, but add 10 contacts to your database every day. The most important thing is to add at least 100 in short order. Get to 100, because once you've got to 100, that's a significant start to your database. All right, so add 10 contacts. Then make contact with 10 people. So once you add 10 contacts, then make contact with 10 people. All right, there's various ways. How do you guys contact people?
Phone mostly, and then I have lead generation on a regular basis. And so I like to follow up with phone though. I find phone conversations are much better than text or emails, so just get a better response.
Okay, so we've got calls, texts, and emails. How else?
I'm gonna go do my first Facebook ad here this week.
Okay, so now that's general marketing, but we need to be more specific on who we contact.
Well, face to face, I mean, kind of tough now, but I saw somebody cleaning the outside of their house, painting the outside of the house in the rain. So I kind of figured he's not sticking around there. He's on the time frame.
There's a dedicated.
This is something I learned. Every time I see somebody I know join Nova Scotia Homes for Sale or something like that, I reach out and I've got 2 buyers that way.
Perfect, great effort. Okay, so that's the way you can make contacts, and again, that's Colin's jurisdiction, so he'll work you through how to reach out. 10 notes, that's another way of contacting people. Sit down and write note cards. Hey, listen, I don't know if you've heard, but I just want to share the exciting news that I've joined the real estate industry. I've joined forces with the great team at Keller Williams, and I wanted to share that news with you in case you need, or somebody that you know needs, a great realtor when they're looking at buying or selling. Right? And that's what the note can say. Anytime you feel like reaching out for real estate advice or information, I'm only a call away. Look forward to hearing from you soon. Sign off, put your business card in, and send it in the mail. So 10 note cards. And then homes preview. There's one thing that kind of frustrates a lot of the management and broker team of a real estate company, and that is if an agent doesn't know what to do in their day, if they don't have their day structured and planned, go view houses, get to know your market. You can book in. So if you are farming a geographic area, and I know you guys, where most of you live geographically, so start booking in appointments. Now, unfortunately, Joanne, you've got 12 active listings in your entire marketplace. That's it, 12 listings. So if you really want to know your marketplace out in Fall River, because I just converted some buyers from Ontario that are looking for Bedford, Hammonds Plains, or Fall River. I've been active in those marketplaces, so I've seen lots of those houses and what they've sold for. I've been in them, so I know how they look, they feel, they smell. So I can give firsthand knowledge on that. But if you don't have that knowledge of your marketplace that you want to work into, one of the greatest things to do is every new listing, get on there and book a viewing through Showing Time to get to know your market. Okay, so preview homes, right? That's the greatest way to be able to get to know the product that you're selling.
But is that smart to do right now with COVID?
No problem, right? We can do that. That's not a problem. We still have an industry that functions, thankfully, so long as you respect the rules. All right. You might want to disclose, hey, I'm previewing this property. I'm not bringing a client through it. And if that would be a responsible thing to do. Let the seller's agent know, I would like to preview this property. All right.
Now, what happens, like I looked at quite a few properties on the weekend and all the showtime was booked up. Like that's like one of the agents said, you can try to peek in between showings.
Yep.
But that's a problem right now, is that you can't get ins because they've got showings between Friday night and Sunday night and they're all booked and we're not making offers, so they don't want us in.
Well, that could be a problem. That could be an objection, but you know what? If you guys want to persevere in real estate, you just can't take no for an answer all the time.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
You want to find the way to do the business, and this is one of the things we can say. You know, oh, I can't do this and I can't do that because, but you got to look at it and say how you can. And this is one of those for instances. You want to get in the door. If you set yourself up on the Collab Center, anytime a listing comes up in any one of your areas, it will notify you, then immediately jump on, because then you're the first person to book in. You've got an entire
Okay.
week, and I'm sure you'll find a slot, right? So book in, but be fair and be honest, be transparent. I am going there to preview this house. I'm a resident agent, and I'm very interested in the products in the listings in my area. Let them know, because you can put comments in your
Showings, yeah.
in your request for the showing on Showing Time,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
be candid about it. I am coming to look to preview. If they say, well, do you have a specific buyer in mind for this? What would be your answer?
Okay. My answer would be, I'm an agent and I would like to preview the house
Right.
because I live in the area. This is my market area.
You can just say you have an out of town buyer.
Yeah.
I'm virtually showing them the house.
Right. You can, but I wouldn't say
That's not ethical, right? Like the
I
ethical part.
wouldn't say I if you don't.
Yeah.
Okay. I teach my team to say we. And if they ask you to qualify, well, who is we? Then you can qualify it any way you want. We, meaning my team, we have buyers. If my team doesn't have buyers for, Colby South, then I would say we have buyers. Well, qualify. Who is we? Keller Williams.
Keller Williams.
We're a big company. We have 250 agents. We do lots of information sharing in Keller Williams. We are a very proactive company and we are engaged, which means we have an internal Facebook page that we share a lot of information. And if I'm excited about that house that you just listed, I am going to broadcast that to my entire team of 250 agents. Would you like me to do that for you and your seller? Would they say, no, I don't want you at my house to do that? We don't want 250 agents and their buyers to know about my listing? I'm sure they'll let you in the door if you package it that way, okay? So get in the door, see your market, all right? So lead generation is a big thing, okay? I don't know how they snuck the lead generation into contract to close, but I guess that's all part of your what do you call this? Reporting out, okay? It's part of the lead generation and reporting out the 10-4 role play. So we'll spend a couple of seconds on this and then we'll move on. Okay, one of the things they want to do, does anybody buy into the affirmation principles? Because you're looking at a guy that does.
I do like putting intention out there.
Yep.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Positive thinking leads to positive results.
100%. What you focus on expands. I absolutely believe that. So when I worked at a competing company, that was affirmations was a big thing for the leadership there. And I'll tell you, it made a big difference for me because it absolutely burnt it into my brain. And affirmations are not just good enough to say it. You need to write it down in order for it to really take a physical effect on you, to really get it into your conscious being and subconscious being. So there was a time where I struggled to try and get my weight down. I was always very athletic, and the job that I had, or the industry that I was in before, was physically demanding. And I was in great shape up until I joined the real estate industry, and I sat behind a desk and I was so busy that I couldn't make meals. So I was going through a lot of drive-throughs. Tim Horton double doubles. I'm down to no sugar in my coffee now, because if I had 3 and 4, I'd have 6 scoops of sugar every day. And I realized, wow, I went from like a very cut fit 185 to 190 pound guy to 222. And I said, who is this cut bag of milk? So I struggled to try and get my weight down. And I was like, why can't I do this? Because I wasn't committed and I didn't buy in. And the way I bought in was I said, I'm going to affirm it every day. I'm going to affirm it every day. My goal is to get back down to 190 pounds. But really, why? So I affirmed myself and I wrote it down every single day. I got up and every morning I wrote, I weigh 190 pounds and I feel great. And I affirmed that every single day. And I got there. I not only got to 190 pounds, I ended up getting to 184 pounds by accident, because I stopped weighing myself, and then I got on the scale and my jaw dropped like, holy smokes, to a point where people were asking me like, is this intentional, or is are you not well? That's how much weight I had lost over that period of time. But it really helped me to write that affirmation. So if you buy into affirmations, go ahead. I feel great about what I'm accomplishing every day, right? That's what they want you to affirm, that you feel great about what you do and what you accomplish every day. And it is going to be very rewarding when you set out to do what you want to do and you've accomplished that. All right. They're talking about using scripts. So I'm going to move on. Okay. Use this as your template. When you're calling and making your 10 contacts, all right, you set out who it is you're going to call for the day, their contact information. You check off whether you did or didn't get an appointment on that particular call, right? Do you know of anybody that is looking at selling, buying or selling? Now, the language that they use in this course material, I'm going to change it up a little bit because I don't like you asking yes or no questions. Okay, because it's too easy for somebody to answer that yes or no. And it's most times you're going to get no, because people are like busy, they've got other things on their mind, and that's an easy way out for them. They just say no. Do you know of anybody that's looking at buying or selling? They'll give it 1/2 a second thought, and then they're going to immediately say, no. The question that you need to ask is, who do you know is thinking about buying or selling? Because if you ask, who do you know, then you are requesting them to think about it. And once they process, they think about it, they'll come out with an answer. I really don't know anybody right now. Or, you know what? Because I did that. And this guy originally, I was like, do you know of anybody? And he's like, no. I said, okay, let me reword that. Who do you know? So then he started thinking about it and he's like, oh, wait a minute. John and Bev are moving down from Moncton. I know. All right, so I got the wheels turning for him. So it's just the way you phrase things sometimes that really helps. So I personally would use that when you're doing your calls. Okay, who do you know that's thinking about buying or selling houses right now? Okay, and then if they're like, I really don't know, prompt them. Nobody at work, none of your family members, none of your sphere of influence or your friends, nobody. All right, and then they start thinking about the people at their church and the people at work, and have I heard anybody having conversations? And if they come up with a name, great. Do you mind if I reach out and give them a call and offer my help? Right? That person that you reach out to may be looking at buying an investment property or buying looking at buying a house or selling their house. Great, good news. Well, I'd like to drop over and help you with that and give you some advice on how to prepare for it. Would that be okay? And that's a yes or no question. People are like, yeah, okay. They don't like to tell you no when you offer your help. So then you set the appointment. Then you check off that you got the appointment, the referral name, and the results of the call. All right. Make sure that you track everything that you do. That's part of your systems, tracking methods and systems. Right. Track everything you do. All right. So moving on during your prospecting. Okay. Dennis, you throughout the course, are there a number of scripts that they've introduced you guys to?
Yeah, we went through some of the scripts.
Okay. All right. Did they get you to role play any of the scripts, or we just kind of introduced and moved on?
I introduced and moved on due to time, and then Joanne and I actually met up on a Saturday and we went through some and read them and said, oh, this is really weird wording, and changed it ourselves. And but it was good to do that.
Perfect. Absolutely. My recommendation is custom. If you're using somebody else's verbiage and wording when you're talking to people that you know and they know you, they know you're being scripted, right? They know you're not being genuine. And that's the first turnoff you're going to get, right? People will sense that in you. Scripts for calling. Now, this is people that are from outside of your area. Do you know you're in the real estate business, and there are so many places to get business. Like when I have somebody from my team to say, I got nothing going on and I don't know where I can get my next deals from. That frustrates me to the end of the earth. Okay.
Hey, now simmer down, because you're talking to me right now. Because I feel the same way.
Yeah. Well, there are so many places to find business, right? And this is what these scripts help you to do, like for sale by owners, right? These are people advertising, I'm selling real estate, and nobody's calling them. All right. Well, the people that call, they have scripts. They're very rehearsed in it, and they're very effective. Talk to the Lehman Murray Group. Go on to our YouTube page. Andrew Murray loves. It's like shooting fish in a barrel at this point. He loves for sale by owners, private sellers. Right? He's done a tremendous amount of business over the last number of years by focusing on it, and he's so fluid with his process now. But this specific one. Okay, Dennis, you moved. You move recently from Ontario, correct? No, where did you move in from anywhere?
Yeah, not Ontario.
Oh,
we came back home from Grand Prairie, Alberta.
Okay, Alberta. Okay, I got you. All right, you know people in Grand Prairie, Alberta now, right? Take a guess. How many people do you know? Estimate. More than 50?
Yeah, 50, 60. Yeah.
All right.
That's actually on my Facebook. I've already reached out to everybody.
Okay.
The whole Facebook. Yeah. I'm going through it for the second time now.
Perfect. And what this script is designed for, guys, is this. Scripts for calling outside your own marketplace. So you can call all 50 of those people in Grand Prairie and say, hey, listen, guys, this is the script. Hey, whatever. I mean, Joe, it's Dennis. I know it's been a while since we've been in touch. And as you know, or maybe you don't know, I'm in the real estate business now. And I've been busy growing my real estate business with Keller Williams Select Realty here in Halifax. I wanted to ask you a favor. You know, with people moving all around the country and people becoming more global, I wanted to check with you about a couple of things. Now, this is where I would change the wording. This one just says, do you know of anybody looking to move to my area? Okay. Or anybody moving out of my area? Because maybe they moved away from Halifax. So everybody here knows somebody that moved away from Halifax, right? All right, everybody does. Somebody was here in Halifax and moved away. Okay. Quick example. I have somebody that she was a couple of years behind me in school, but I knew her sister well. She married a guy who was in the film industry, and they lived in Manhattan, New York for a lot of years, and then moved out to Hollywood, California. So I was heading down to the convention down in New Orleans in 2018. So I reached out to Sarah and said, "Listen, are you going to the convention this year, the family reunion?" And she's like, "Oh no, I'm going to sit this one out for whatever reasons." I was like, "Okay, fair enough, cool." I said, "Listen, how are things with your family?" So I got into that conversation, but then I finally asked her. I said, "Okay, just because you're living in Hollywood, California now does not mean that you can't make some money back here in Nova Scotia." Now, this is an agent call, but the spirit is still the same. I'm looking for business out of this person that is out of my marketplace right now. And she's like, "Yeah, you're right. I never thought of that." Right. I said, so anytime you hear of somebody in back here in Halifax, that's thinking about buying into Halifax or moving out of Halifax, make sure you give them my contact information. I'd love to help them. And in turn, you get 25% of that. She's like, "Man, I never even thought of that." I said, "Okay, great that I reached out to you today." So that's the spirit of this particular script. All right. People that are outside that, and you're looking for business right here in your own community. Beyond that, if this is not an agent, because this was just an agent to agent example, but let's just say Sarah was not an agent. Now, I know people that are out in BC, all across Canada. So I can call them and say, secondly, I can help people where you live with their real estate needs by referring them the best Keller Williams representative in their area. Okay, that's how you can find business. Call somebody in another city, and I've got Anita doing this because she has family out in Calgary and friends that she left behind in Calgary and a daughter in Montreal. And I'm like, "Anita, be on the phone all the time. Call the people you know in other areas and ask, do you know of anybody in your area that's thinking about buying or selling? Because I can connect them with a great Keller Williams real estate agent." And then you get 25% of that business. So if you wake up one morning and thinking, "I got really not much to do," pick up the phone and start calling agents.
Oh, I like that. Good idea.
So in Grand Prairie right now, we don't have any Keller Williams, but I know some agents obviously out there, but there's one in particular that I would refer them to.
Yep.
And how does that work for referral? Because we actually talked about this, and she did go, "Do you know about the referral?" I said, "Yeah, I do." There's obviously still paperwork though that we have to do for that, right?
Yep, absolutely. So I just sold a house, and I'm sending a 25% referral fee to a Caldwell Banker agent in Sydney, Cape Breton. Okay, doesn't have to be Keller Williams. If we have a Keller Williams location or market center in that city or township, please refer them to the support within the company. But if we don't have roots established in that particular marketplace, then yes, you still want to do business. And if there's people that they have coming east, you want that referral. If you have people that are working in that marketplace, you can call them and say, "Hey, listen, I got a referral for you. A friend of mine is looking at selling this place out in Grand Prairie, and I want to connect you with that person," right? And then they would thank you for the referral. And then you would arrange the referral fee, right? And it's usually 25%. It's not standard. Some agents pay 35%. Some people charge, nobody charges any less because it's more of a kind of an industry standard, but it's not fixed. Okay. So that's why you use this call script for calling, and they want to make you aware that there's places in business everywhere, right? Don't just look at your own marketplace to say it's the only place you can make money in real estate. You can make outside of real estate. So the lead that I converted yesterday, great contact. They're coming in, they're looking at those 3 different areas, Fall River, Hammonds Plains, Bedford area. But lo and behold, when I said, "Okay, I need to connect with you because I have to go through the buying process when you come to Halifax," It's going to take about an hour to get through. When would you be available? Right? Because I don't work with people unless I go through the process setting expectations. And he said, well, listen, maybe at this point I'm going to connect you with my wife because she's a realtor up here. I said, fantastic. When she comes to Halifax, we're going to have her working with us at Keller Williams if she's still interested in working in the real estate business. All right. So, you know, 2 birds with 1 stone. We get to recruit her to KW and they're looking at buying a house. Right. I can't obviously refer a listing agent to them in Ontario now. That's the downside. I won't get
Profit sharing.
Profit. Well, that's where it's coming from, right? All right. So anyway, you conclude that calling script by saying, thank you for helping me out. I'd like to share my real estate app with you because we have the Keller Williams real estate app. So we're offering something of value in terms of thanks. Okay, thanks for your time. Thanks for giving it some thought. Listen, I want to share my app with you. You'll find it fun because who's not interested in knowing what's going on in real estate? Everybody is. So you can share the app with them and then they can fool with it when they're driving down the road and they want to know what houses are for sale, how much they're asking. This is what that app does, and it's quite fun, actually. Okay, so you can see what's for sale and the prices from your street to any place in North America. It's free, there's no cost to you, and I can send that to you in a text with the link. Does that sound good? Of course, they'll accept that and move on. Okay, right. Listen, man, thanks a lot for your time today and for all your help. And please let me know if there's anything I can ever do for you. Right? And then it's done. So pick a script partner. I mean, I know there's 4 of you guys now in different pairs that you probably work together on scripts. Joanne and Dennis and Sherry and Jen, you guys are script partners, but the other folks that are here, you know, feel free to hook up with one another or form a group to actually practice these scripts, because when you feel comfortable in delivering these scripts, you can modify them, you can customize them to you, but keep the nuts and bolts that hold that script together and the main elements of it. You can customize it to make your own, all right? But feel comfortable, and that's how you branch out in your prospecting efforts to create and generate more leads, okay? So going into, now we're gonna start, I guess, starting to get your head into the game, all right?
I'll be right back. I have to take care of something.
Okay, no problem. All right. So this is kind of preempting what we're about to get into when it comes to the contract to close section. Get your head in the game. The day of completion is not an event. It is a very complex process that involves a series of steps, multiple parties, and a myriad of details, right? If you are detail oriented, and that's why I wanted to see a show of hands, how many of us are detail oriented? How many of us are checklist people? How many people love to buy into systems? That is critical, right? Absolutely. That is critical here. All right.
That's actually something I'm finding difficult because I don't have a checklist really since I started. So I'm trying to create my own. I almost need like a checklist and then.
Yeah, you don't need to reinvent the wheel, guys. It's all here at KW. You just needed to be, your orientation, your agent support person will push you in the right direction. All right. So if you don't have it, don't reinvent it. It's here. I mean, I'm going to share my screen and show you a few things that we've got going on when it comes to checklists, but that's a bit later on. Okay. But this is where, I mean, this complex process is where you truly shine as a customer experience professional. And I highlighted that in my workbook. Okay. There we go. Trying to find my cursor here. All right, so I'm going to jump to page 11 so you all know. Sorry, I should have been scrolling along. So, all right, we just finished this script. Now we're moving along to get your head in the game, guys. Just what does it all mean and why is this important? All right. I highlighted this. I printed this off and I highlighted this. Okay. You shine as a customer experience professional, right? A great experience, an excellent experience. That's what your clients are looking for. And it is your job to ensure that all the steps are completed on time and that all parties are aware of their roles and what's expected of them. All right, that's you being that project manager or the quarterback of this process. Essentially, your role becomes that of a project manager. Okay, do you see that word there? That's the one I got you to write down. That's you. You're the nucleus of the transaction. So highlight that. In addition to being a knowledgeable and calm fiduciary for your client, okay? I mean, you're knowledgeable, you know that, you're feeling it, you're here participating in your knowledge. So kudos to you guys for that. But I would absolutely highlight calm fiduciary for your client, all right? You're the professional. You have to make sure that you don't get your clients worked up, emotional about things, upset about things. The more excited you are, the more you start talking negatively, the more you hype things on a negative perspective, you are not being that calm fiduciary for your client, and it's going to upset them. You're a professional right here, okay? Make sure that you compose yourself, act calmly, in control, because if your clients feel like this is becoming spiraling out of control, they're going to look to you to lean on to say, help me here, right? And if they have a perception that you're out of control, this is not going to be an easy transaction for them or for you, okay? In a successful contract to close process, the transaction does close on time, as expected. The process is smooth and painless for all parties involved, okay? And you win future business due to your 10 plus customer experience, okay? That's the goal. So guys, how do we ensure these outcomes? How do we ensure? So give me some ideas on how to ensure these outcomes.
A checklist, a checklist.
100%. Yep.
Lots of communication with all the parties involved.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. That's why I got you to write those words down earlier, because this is really where it comes into play. Right. So having systems in place like checklists, schedules, and forms, like that's important. All right. Be knowledgeable of all of the whole process and some of the pitfalls that you might encounter, and preempt that by discussion, having communication with them. Okay, that's important. Having the calm fiduciary role is come from contribution with a positive mindset. That's important, because if you're coming with a negative outlook on things, and the way you convey things, if they're a negative, all of a sudden you're starting to upset the client, and you don't want to do that. Come from positive solutions-oriented approaches, right? If you focus on the negative, man, it's not going to be a positive experience. Wouldn't you agree? Right. So you want to make this the most positive process possible. And sometimes, yes, we get frustrated with it. Maybe it's the other agent. Maybe it's the mortgage broker. Maybe it's the inspector that came up and they said things with a very alerting tone, and you're like, oh, that inspector, man, I could hang him out of a yard from a yard arm. Honestly, why would he? And then you're starting to vent negativity on your clients, and don't do that, because they will organically buy into that negativity, right? Keep it out of the transaction, keep it professional, okay? Attention to details and working cooperatively with other salespeople is very important. Over communicating, okay? This is one of the instructor comments that I have here on my manual, is that over communicating with your clients in the process, so that there's no misunderstandings about anything, right? There's that word again, communication. It's essential, okay? So that's how you can ensure that you're going to achieve these three outcomes. Okay, on your way to payday. All right, so this is it, the contract to close process. This is basically an overview. And if you look at Command, guys, are you all versed with Command now? Are you participating with Command? Yeah? Yeah, okay. So you notice I run my business through Command. My whole team is structured through the Command platform. I love it, love it, love it. I can't wait to have my call with this agent from Ontario. I don't know, if she's with Keller Williams, I'd be surprised, because she should have told me, or he should have told me that by now. But if she's not, I'm going to knock her socks off when I get her on the line to show her what we've got with this Command platform. Okay, but when you go into the Command platform, we get into the cultivate, which is the leads, right? When you've got a lead, you're in the cultivation stage. Okay, now that you've got somebody that's thinking about buying or selling, this is part of the funnel right here. And then as you push them along and you progress, your idea is to push them along in the process to go from being a lead to booking an appointment with them. And the reason why, and I'm, you know, so I've got this, I've got the conversion now, I've got the appointment at this point. Guy calls me just asking me, how does this virtual viewing work on your property? I'm not sure, I've never heard that term. So I had to get back to him right away, and it's important to get back very quickly, but I got back to him very quickly and said, what a virtual viewing is, and this is something that we offer for our listings, especially for out-of-towners, take them through with a FaceTime call. We specifically book a private viewing time for you. We or me or one of my team members will show up at the listing, and we will take you through via FaceTime on a FaceTime call and show you every aspect of the house. We can revisit areas of the house. We can open and close doors and storage things and highlight. We can see anything you want to see, and we can discuss it virtually. Yes.
Just a quick question on that virtually. When you're doing the forms, does that the box have to be checked off, or can you just do a phone call and get the verbal approval?
On what form? The COVID forms?
No, on the forms there for, I'd have to go back to actually see what the name of the
Oh,
form
yeah.
is.
So are you permitted to take interior photos of the property such? Yes. All right. You have to look and make sure that it's appropriate, but this is my listing. I'm the listing agent. So I've already got the authority to do that. And it is a conversation for sure.
But I'm
Okay.
thinking like if you're the buyer, like for most of us, we're going to be getting a lot of buyers originally. So like right now with COVID, if it is Ontario person, if they don't have that checked off, can you call and then would they just do an amendment to it, or?
Yes, you can. You don't need an amendment. You just need to have written permission from the seller that it's okay to, and sellers would be crazy if they didn't agree to that, because they're cutting out almost half of their buyers, right? So you definitely want to say, yes, go ahead and do it. Okay, so the appointment stage, that's, you know, through command, it's your sales pipeline. This is the reflective of the sales pipeline. You're cultivating your leads, and then you push the lead into an appointment. And after the appointment, hopefully you've got a strong case as to why these people would work with you, and then you get them under buyer or seller contract. And then after that, you get into agreement of purchase and sale, listed their house, or you found them the best house in the world for them, and you get them under contract. This is where we are in the whole process. All right. So Brenda and Angela and Melissa and the other, Colin, I think, did one of the modules. They did all of this up until here. Okay. And now you're here at this point in this process. You got the contract accepted. So we're starting here and ending up at payday and beyond, because it doesn't just stop at being paid. Okay. So making it happen, you have to know the process. Systems equal success, right? What systems you have in place. Seize the golden opportunity. Okay, we'll talk about that, right? And where you can get referrals from people in this particular contract to close period in the transaction. Okay, and then getting paid. There are things that you have to ensure in order to get your paycheck, and that is good file and broker review. Because if your file does not pass broker review, you're not getting paid until it is. All right, you have to have your files in compliance. Okay, so closing, sometimes known as settlement. Now, we in Canada don't use this, so this must be an American term, is a detail-driven process that brings people together in a variety of together with a variety of parties to legally finalize the sales transaction. Okay, depending on specific details and location, the parties of the sale may include. All right, these are the people who are involved in the process. There's going to be the buyer and the seller. Going to be other sales representatives usually. I mean, that's the spirit of cooperation. Our real estate commission is pushing for us to have our own representation. So double ending something is very rare these days. So you're likely going to be in cooperation with another sales representative. You're going to use the lawyers to close the transaction, guide you through with legal advice and so on. You've got your mortgage specialists in there, some of your own team, and that could be your mentor. That could be, if you've got a real estate team that you work within or whatever, your personal assistants, all that kind of stuff. Your fans and your friends and family members, other people that might have some sort of contribution in some way or another to the transaction. Now, third parties, you may be talking about title insurance companies and things like that. right? To help everybody through this process, okay? So as a project manager of the transaction, make it your responsibility to ensure that all parties know what's expected of them and deliver on their commitments. So when you send a contract to a lawyer, and this has happened, sometimes you send the lawyer, okay, yeah, I'll look after them in this transaction, and you send a contract to the lawyer for the lawyer review, right? There's a clause in our agreement of purchase and sales, yeah, about lawyer review, okay? So you've got 3 days for lawyer review on the contract, okay? So you send it over. Do you as the real estate agent just think, well, it's his responsibility now, he's got the contract, and then just move on and pay attention to other things? No, exactly right. You need to follow up with that lawyer, especially if the deadlines come out and say, hey, listen, I haven't heard from you. Lawyer review is today. Like, what's going on? I need an answer. Do we have a problem with the legalities of the contract? Do you have any concerns? Have you even read it? Okay, so it's your responsibility as the project manager here of this process to ensure that all parties know what's expected and deliver on their commitments on time, right? No good to tell me tomorrow when the lawyer review clause is expired to tell me there's a problem with the contract, right? So you're on top of it. You're in control of this whole process, including what to expect out of other people and that they deliver, okay? It's better for your clients. Wouldn't you agree that if you're on top of it and things are on time, that they don't get snarled up into a problem because, oh, there's a problem with the legalities, but the lawyer review clause is passed? Your client would respect that when that has been eliminated from the transaction. There it is again. There is no such thing as over communication. If you have this printed, please highlight that. I can't emphasize it enough. Clearly outline the roles and responsibilities that you own. It's your process. You own this process because you're the professional. I always refer to this process as the client's. It's your process that I'm here to help you through, right? Because when you try and claim that from them, they don't like it. They think you're in it for you, okay? But when you use the terminology that this is your process that I'm here to support and help you through, when you use that kind of language, it reassures them. You're not trying to take control of their life, right? They're not threatened by that. They own it, okay? But this is a responsibility that we own. We don't own this process. It's theirs. We're here to assist them. Okay, set expectations. Boy, I love that. Highlight that one. With all parties involved about how and when things will happen. Okay, so if you're one step ahead of everything in communicating with your clients, it takes the guesswork out of everything. Right? What's next? What's next? They're constantly wondering. And if you're not there to help them, to tell you, and this is something that's important. When I take a phone call and it's a new seller and they're asking me like, Chad, I heard the market's smoking hot right now. I'm thinking about putting my house on the market. Would you be interested in coming over and talking to me about helping me sell my house? And I'm like, absolutely would. Okay, when is a good day, whatever. So I gather some information over the phone. But before I hang up, I set the expectation for the next move, because then it takes the guesswork out of it. And I learned that fairly quickly in my career, because when I showed up at the door would open and people would be very awkward. Like, I don't know what to do. So do you want to come in? Do we look around first? Do you need to sit down? And I was like, stupid me for not addressing that over the phone, because I've had an awkward moment. I don't know these people. They were people that were referred to me. And it's like, ooh, this felt a little awkward. And you don't want that. You want a nice, calm, easy feeling when you meet them. So before I hang up the phone, I said, okay, so what I'll do is when we get there, let's just sit down somewhere comfortable, maybe at the dining room table or kitchen table, and we'll just talk about what it is you're thinking about doing and why is this move, why are you planning on moving? What's your motivation behind all this? And what are all the important things? So when I get there, we'll talk about that. And then I'll get you to show me through the house, okay? Just so that I know what I'm dealing with. When you show me through the house, then I'd like to go back to the table and talk to you about what next. After I leave, or before I leave, I just want to have a quick conversation with you about what do I do with the information that I've just obtained. Is that fair? Can we do that? So that I'm setting the expectation right from the phone call. But all the way through this process, you need to have one step ahead and saying, what's next, what's next, what's next? Because then there's no awkwardness, there's no guesswork, and making sure, because if you say what's next, they may have a question. What do I do now? Okay, when we send that to the lawyer, that might induce questions. Or when we book the appointment for the inspector, what are the things that I should be talking about? Right? Not just send them a text and say, oh, by the way, you need to book your property inspection for Thursday. Okay, so be ahead of it. Set expectations all the way, guys, and don't be afraid of over communicating. Jen.
So that's sort of where I find that being new to the industry, not the sales or negotiations, but that's the toughest part, because even when I went to write the exam, it was neat to know, what does the exam look like? Where am I going to come in at? Like, there hasn't been that for me yet. Maybe that's something, maybe I can go on, like, watch people. I don't know if there's something, do you know what I'm saying?
So qualify that a little bit. So when we were working together on Wednesday nights, we set the expectation about what you're going to encounter on the exam, didn't we?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so we did. How's the exam structured?
Right.
40, 35, 25.
Yeah.
What are you expecting? Multiple choice, true and false, long and short answer form questions, and contracts.
I loved it.
All right. So we were setting the expectation of what you are going to encounter. And that's what you need to do with your clients. What are you going to encounter? How is the approach? Sorry?
But being new,
Yep.
I don't know what that is. Do you know what I mean? I haven't been through, but I can kind of understand. I know to always set the expectation, but
okay. So
when you
Michelle is your product, or sorry, is your
Yes.
mentor?
Yeah.
Mentor? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what the mentors are for.
Okay.
Okay. I have Michael Fu, and I wish Michael was on. I should have reminded him, be on Ignite. I asked him if he was participating. Michael, are you here? I didn't see him log in, but he might have later. No, Michael is not on. Anyway, I did remind him that last Friday that I was doing this, and I asked him if he was part of Ignite. I don't know what his answer. I thought he said he was, but if he's not.
There's another Ignite that just started on Tuesday that he might be a part of.
Right, and that's the company, Keller Williams is putting it on. So if you've got time, I would strenuously suggest that you participate in that as well. It might be a whole revision, but it's from a very highly skilled trainers, right? We're just agents that have knowledge and stuff, and we're trying to give back and share our knowledge through all of this. But these guys, they're trainers. This is what they do, right? They're hired by corporate to help. Like, these guys are coaches and teachers and trainers. So. They may, level of effectiveness should be well beyond me. But anyway, so I went through the entire buying process with him. Okay, I went through the entire buying process with Michael, what to expect, because he was out going out showing houses last weekend, 2 weekends ago. So I showed him all about what to expect. What kind of questions that your buyers are probably going to ask you, how to conduct yourself through the whole thing, what you should be talking to your buyers about, the etiquette of visiting houses, especially during COVID times. You need to have those conversations with your client before you go and visit the property, right? The etiquette of showing, please make sure, we love your kids, but we're only allowed to have 2 people besides me in the house at any particular time, right? We love your kids, and if we get this property together for you, we will bring the kids in at a later time, right? Pets, what is the etiquette? And I did say this, what is the etiquette of showing this property? If you need to use the washroom, make sure when you schedule your appointments, because there were 3 properties that he saw, I said, make sure there's a bathroom break in between, because right now it's a bit taboo to use people's bathrooms. The etiquette, if you're in normal times when COVID's not such a big thing, yes, you can go and use the bathroom. That's what bathrooms are made for, all right? But now it's a little taboo, okay? So try and schedule your day so that you have a bathroom break, and let your clients know before we meet, have a bathroom break. Then we'll look at houses, then we'll have another bathroom break, and then we'll look at some more houses. I said, because if you don't have that conversation, somebody's standing there with their legs crossed saying, I really have to go. And if that happens, then you got to let them go. Obviously, you can't deny them access to a bathroom. In emergency situations only, right? Send them to the bathroom. So that's how that's, if you're not getting that quality from your mentor, guys, demand of it. That's what they're there for.
Yeah, so Michelle's fan freaking tastic and she's very proactive, obviously us being, so we just sent her, Dennis and I, we just sent her an email to say, cause I said, you know, since we can't go with you, we're gonna do a Zoom, we're gonna talk about that experience of a listing, that experience of, and do that since we can't be in person. So that's what thank you. Yeah, that we just actually booked that this morning.
Right
So
on.
that'll help. Yeah.
For sure. All right. So you're getting some goods. It's, you know, you're getting the experience, and guys, you're not going to know it all. No, nobody knows it all when they're going in. That's why you're getting trained. And I'm still getting trained, right? I don't know it all. So this is why we have these courses. This is why we go through these exercises. I mean, by the time you're finished Ignite, you'll know way more than you did before you started. Would you agree? Right. So this is just an evolution in your growth and your knowledge and what you're.
I see myself revisiting Ignite again and again. I mean, there's a ton of videos in the back office too that Colin has given us access to that we can use. But I see myself, like, there's so much, and we're going through so much training right now as new agents. It's hard to absorb it all. So I see myself going back through chapters and then trying to put those things into place, because I cannot physically do everything at once. I can't. There's too much.
And I appreciate that point of view, guys. And again, you know, 95% of you went through my Wednesday evenings. What was a lot of the theme? Repeat, review, repeat, review.
Yeah.
The more you repeat and review, the more it sinks in, and the more.
And it worked.
But at one point,
Thank
you have
God.
to. At
The
one
biggest
point,
thing,
what's that?
the biggest thing though is I'm actually looking forward to this being done on Friday.
Yeah.
And then just sitting back. I would like to do the 2.0 for Ignite, but I can't. I got to sit back. I got to go back to mission 1 and just go through each process on my own. I just feel like I haven't had the time, and there's so much other stuff happening. So it'd be nice to actually sit back, go back through Ignite on my own, and then go from there.
Right.
I'm
So
right
what-
where Dennis is, exactly what he just said. I need to slow down in the training. I feel like I'm in so much training right now between coaching and training. There's hardly time to follow up. I've got 3 leads sitting on my phone right now. I don't have time to call yet today. And I don't like that. I want to be calling them, not leaving them sit, right? So
And that would be my advice to you guys. Great. And thank you both for sharing that, because it's exactly what I was about to say, is that you have to stop sitting in a classroom and you have to go and get real life experience, because that is better learning than what you're getting now, right? This is preparing you for that, but you got to go and do it. You got to put it into play, right? You can watch YouTube videos until you wig out, but unless you go and put that stuff into practice, you really don't get the gist of it until you see it actually applied. And when it applies, you know, there's some adjustments that you'll need to make to your approaches, and that's all about tracking what you do. Okay, what you've done, what are the results? What you've done, what are the results? So that's an important step in this whole real estate process. So the contract to close here again is something that I have in my buyer package. When I go over my buyer guide and I sit with the buyer and I go through the whole buying process, this is setting the expectation of what this process looks like. So where you guys are right now in this contract to close, you've made the offer, and when you've made the offer, what are the 3 possible outcomes?
accept, reject, or make an amendment.
That's the counter offer.
That's an amendment to me, sorry.
That's fine. So that is, okay, I'm amending some of the terms that you've got, and then we've got a deal if you agree. Okay, so we make the offer, 3 possible outcomes, it gets accepted. If it doesn't, and it just outright gets rejected, then it's the end of the road. And then what do you have to do? Go back to re-offer if you want to pursue the property, okay? If the offer goes in, the seller has the option of counter-offering it. I like almost everything about your offer except this and this, price and closing date. If you can match the price and closing date or agree to the price and closing date that I want, then we've got a deal, and then it gets accepted, okay? Once you've got an accepted offer, then we're going to go to the conditions stage, okay? What do the conditions look like? You know, financing, inspection, lawyer review, well and septic evaluation, all that wonderful stuff. Those are your conditions. So once you've got your conditions, you either have them conditions unfulfilled, okay? You came into a big problem because when you went to the bank, they said, we cannot lend you the money that you offered on that house. You have bad credit, blah, blah, blah. We can avoid that, guys. How do we avoid a rejected finance clause?
Being the right project manager, getting ahead of it, ahead of the game.
And how do we get ahead of it when it comes to the financing side of it?
Have them
Make-
pre-approved.
Exactly.
Right. That's how, if we go condition unfulfilled when it comes to financing, we can avoid that. And that's our job, to try and avoid that. When we send a buyer out into, when we take a buyer out into the world and view houses, unprepared, expect turbulence. If we did not do our job, expect a very disappointing outcome in a lot of cases. We are setting them up to fail, and we have not done our job from the beginning, okay? So in order to avoid a terminated agreement based on financing, you go get them pre-approved, okay? And you guys should know the difference between pre-qualified and pre-approved. If you don't, study the difference, okay? Because if somebody says, yes, I've gone to the bank and spoken to the bank and they pre-qualified me for, but you can ask them, do you went there and you got pre-approved, but do you know the difference? Did you get pre-approved or did you get pre-qualified? Well, what's the difference? All right, there's a big difference. Okay, so guys, know the difference. I don't want to expand on that because we're going to get tight for time, but that's the difference of being prepared and not prepared. This condition unfulfilled, when you do it right, this is a small chance of happening. When you take the right steps, and that is qualifying your buyers, qualifying your sellers. When you do a thorough job at what you do, you're often over here. Conditions fulfilled. You are 95% here. I've done, I don't know how many transactions so far this year, 18 to 20 so far, and I have not had one of these. Sorry, over here, not one. I just got an accepted offer. I preempted the inspection. I went out and I met my sellers in person, because now, right up until the offer stage, I prepared them. Okay, now that we have the house ready for sale and we're ready to launch it on MLS, this is what's about to happen. We're going to start showing it. This is the way the showings are going to go. We might get bully offers. We might see it right to the end, and we're going to present and we're going to respond. So I preempted all of that stuff with conversation. And then once we got the accepted offer, wham, right into the next phase. What's happening now? So I just preempted all of the process of what's happening now. So they were concerned, like, oh, we've never gone through a property inspection on a property before. What do we do? So I went out and I met with them and I talked to them all about what this is going to look like. Okay. So I explained to them, and right down to the T, everything came to fruition last night. Everything I talked about, everything I said, okay, here's the thing. This is a 17-year-old house. Your roof shingles are original. That's probably going to come up. The inspector, if he's a good inspector, will address that. She will address that. Okay, they're going to say, they're in decent shape, but they're not going to last much longer. You've got 3 to 5 years probably left. And bang, that was right in the inspection report. Talked about the fact that the decks were not to code. Bang, that came out in the inspection report. Well, what if that happens? What do we do? All that kind of stuff. So we had that conversation. And then I talked to them about the process of the septic system evaluation. What does that look like? What are the possible outcomes of a septic evaluation? And I talked to them right on the backyard. This is what they're going to do. And this is the possible outcomes. And then they started getting worried. And I said, don't worry, because if that comes up, there's always a solution to it, right? Thankfully, Yolanda Mason is the agent on the other side. Love her, love her, love her. She is such a mature, experienced agent. She's seen it all. I've seen it all. Nothing frazzles us. If something big comes up, we know how to deal with it. So it was so nice to have that person on the other side of the transaction. She and I have an amazing relationship. So she knows we can work through this and find a solution. Because the buyer was like, after the septic evaluation, the buyer was like, should we cancel the property inspection for this afternoon? Right? But she knows who I am on the other side. She told the people, we are going to work this out. Don't you worry. We're going to continue with the property inspection and we're going to find resolution to all of this in a very calm, controlled fashion. And we pushed on through the day. She communicated with me various times through the day, cannot over communicate with your clients and the other service providers involved. And she kept me apprised. You know why? Because my people were stressed to know the results. They didn't know what's happening. Oh my God, is there something wrong? They're there a little bit longer than expected. But we communicated all day long. I said, this is what it usually takes in terms of time to push through these inspections. And they're like, wow. And then Yolande was like, you know what? It's going to be another hour. Thank you, Yolande. At least my clients are not stressing out there, driving by the house like they're still there. Oh no, did they find a problem? Nope. There's still, don't worry about it. There are some things that came up and they are discussing it. I'll fill you in on some details a little bit later today. Nothing we can't work through. Come through solutions approach, come from a positive and saying, oh my God, no, there's big problems with the septic system and I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if they're going to keep this up. If you do that, boom, you're heading for a collision course of disaster, right?
Chad, just to, I guess, ask relative to that. So, I mean, you were excited to work with somebody who has the agent chops in terms of longevity and have seen everything, done everything. For those of us who haven't, is there a repository of information to say an inspection should take this long? Different things that we should be able to talk to so that we can give our clients the same experience, even though we don't have it yet?
That's the whole purpose of the mentorship program. Lean on your mentor for all these things.
Okay, so there is no place that people say have documented this is how long it should take to get a property inspection done,
Not,
or a septic inspection or whatever else.
there may be, Sherry, I just don't know. That would be an Erin question, right? Because she's agent support and she has all the resources compiled in different places. There might be a YouTube video there by somebody, that's telling you that. There might be, I'm not sure. Personally, just because I know and I've been around it for so many years, I just know. So I can pass that knowledge around. And that's why you have experienced agents mentoring you. They know, they've been through it. So they can tell you, well, okay, if you're talking to your buyers and you're now preparing them for the next phase of this process, these are the conversations that you need to have, right? This is how long it's basically going to take. When you're writing your offers, how long does it take to get your water test results back, right? You need to know that because you need to put in that in your clause to allow enough time to get the results for your water test and assess them and then have conversations about it. Get in it?
So I think, Sherry, there to answer that even more so is we're in a time right now with this COVID, and it's just difficult to get out there with the mentors, obviously, with the way that the process is supposed to work. And unfortunately, we can't do that. So maybe see if like, I'm going to have to ask Michelle, for example. She says, oh, I have all kinds of inspections. I wish that you guys would be able to come out. And I'm thinking, FaceTime us, right? Just FaceTime us and walk us through, hang out, just kind of point at the guy. And now I've been through 4 myself, but that might be a thought process to talk to your mentor about as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, again, go from a point of you can do instead of you can't do. There is a way around it. You can preview homes. You have to do it the right way, but you can get in the door and have a look around in your marketplace to get familiar with the homes in the area. You can attend property inspections, right? Whether it is with your mentor or with somebody else in the office, find a way. Does anybody have a property inspection happening that I could be part of?
Yeah, because we had a couple booked with Michelle just for like a water test and things like that, but the clients weren't comfortable with other people coming. So maybe like for her film it. I did find something that was called closing costs. What does it say? Closing cost guidelines.
Yep.
And it just says like the activity, mortgage application, how long it typically takes, how much it costs. I found that on, I checked.
Where'd you get that book?
I made it.
Did you?
Yeah. So this is
the same thing.
yeah, closing cost details, and you can borrow it and take a look and copy it and do whatever. But it's just something like home insurance, how much it typically cost, but it doesn't say like the time frame that it takes. But that helps. So if you go on Colin's site, he has some checklists and stuff. I like it, but I know what Sherry's saying. So I think it's going to be more or less our people, mentors having us maybe on a FaceTime, like the whole time, if they're willing to do that. I mean, I'm sure the clients wouldn't mind.
The Weebly site for KW is good too. I went up the other day and I was exploring some of it and they had all the service professionals up there. I was like, oh, cool. Like I know a lot,
Right.
but there's all kinds up there too, right? So
So
there are a
take,
lot of resources around. It's just finding.
take time and put it in a book.
Yeah.
Like Chad just said, he uses this all the time. I took it out. I'm gonna
Although,
put
do you
it
know
in my
what?
book.
I'd rather take it and put it in my sheets because I can open my phone and access sheets anytime in my Google without having a book. And I find it easier to access my sheets digitally than trying to find it in the book,
Oh,
right? Like I can go to Google Sheets and search landscaper and something with that sheet is going to come up with it on, right? So
Okay,
that's the nice thing about
Very
digital.
quickly, guys, like we do have this booked in for 2 hours. We only got a half an hour to get through the rest of the material, unless you guys want to run over time. That's up to you. But if for everybody that needs to finish at noon, we got to move on. Okay.
There's another meeting already going in my
Yeah.
background.
All right.
I'm always double booked on Wednesdays.
No worries. Okay. So the flow chart, you talk to your clients about how does the process look from once you accept the offer. Okay. You put the offer in, it gets accepted, rejected, counter offered. If it gets accepted, you've got a conditional period. There's all those things to fulfill. And then you go to the lawyers. The lawyer does the title search, make sure it's okay. If everything, all the conditions have been met, and then you move on to closing, because there's the difference between closing and possession. Okay, closing is when the lawyer forwards the funds are received, and then they pass the keys and you have the possession of the home. So that's why they break it down into two, closing and possession. That's when you get the keys and you get to go move in. Okay. So here are the basic steps in the contract to close process. Again, the offer, the counter offer, okay? That's the proposal from the buyer to the seller is the offer with all the terms and conditions. The counter offer, which is the amendments, that's the term that Joanne used, amendments to the offer, creating an opportunity for further negotiations on the transaction. Rejection, seller decides not to pursue the offer any further and the buyer rejects the seller's counter offer, ending the current negotiations. Then you can start it up again and re-offer if you want as a buyer. The inspection, buyer conducts all required desired inspections, physical, environmental, etc., etc. And then whether it's an acceptable inspection or not, then there are some things that will come up in the inspection, and that's where you as the agent has to prioritize what comes up in the inspection, what you deal with. So when the inspection happened on my property yesterday, there were a few roof shingles that blew off. There was a rotted part of the deck, some small other little things, but then the septic system became an issue. So we focused on the real major things, right? Do we really care that there's only 3 shingles that have been blown off in the past? My seller's okay. Let's just fix that and move on. Let's not make a big deal out of it. Let's just replace the support beam or the support post. But the big thing that we really have to focus on here is the septic system, because that's a major component of this house. And so let's focus on that and get over that big hurdle first. And then we'll take care of the small stuff later on. Okay. Your loan is underwritten. So if you're getting financing, making sure you go through the approval of the financing. They record the title, the conveyance of title, register it into the land registration, and then you get possession of the home. Okay. Now this is where all of our detail-oriented people come into play. Okay, systems equal success. Okay, so we were talking about getting everybody prepared, being, preempt everything that happens, get ahead of everything, over communicate. But this one is systems equal success, because this is what really keeps you on pace. All right, this keeps you structured. I love command, but we have our own systems as well beyond command. Okay, checklists, big part of our business. Okay, working your way from an accepted sales contract to the day of completion that rewards everybody, requires you to follow great checklists. So there are 2 checklists in this in this unit that they've provided. Okay, this is for the buyer. Okay, when submit the offer subject to financing and conditions. Okay, starts the home buying process. That's when you do that. Okay. Deliver deposit money to the listing sales representatives. Now they say within 24 hours, but that's not necessarily what you have to do, is it? Do you know that you don't have to put your deposit in within 24 hours? Yeah, you don't. Because it's dictated when you put the deposit conditions, that it shall be payable or delivered to the seller's brokerage on or before such a date, right? So it doesn't have to be 24 hours. That's just an example, okay? Schedule inspections, okay? You do that before the removal of conditions, okay? Is it done? Yes, well then check. Did you put the deposit in? Yes, check. Obtain loan approval. Okay, that's within your conditions date. Did we get the approval on the loan? Oh, great, good to hear. Check. Okay, negotiate for repairs or treatments. I mean, this is something that after inspections, you do that. And if something comes up, like Yolanda and I are in the midst of doing, we're renegotiating the terms because the seller is going to be responsible for dealing with some things, all right? Survey, not always, you know, within deadlines, if you're going to get a survey done. Appraisals, is that done? Yes, we got the appraised value. Did it appraise out? Yeah, check. Final walkthrough with buyer, check. I mean, so these are checklists that keep you on task, okay? I am going to share with you, these are checklists. I got Mary to send them through last night, okay? So this is what my team uses for checklists. So there's 3 different applications, and these are just 3 quick examples.
Would you share yours with us? Are we allowed to ask that?
Yeah, absolutely. So
Thank
we
you.
have these. This is what my team and my administration works for my team. So here's what happens. This is Mary's, the accepted offer. Okay, this is her checklist. Okay, she's got all of this put in place for me. What the property is, if it was me, if it was Anita, if it was Tammy, if it was Renee, June, whoever. Okay. Okay. Was the agreement of purchase and sale signed by all parties? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, great. Is the counteroffer signed by all parties? So she's going through the paperwork, making sure. This is very elementary compared to what we're going to move into soon. But it's an introduction letter sent to the client. So if I sign a new buyer designated brokerage agreement, Mary needs to introduce herself. I tell them we are working as a team. We have a system. I have a personal assistant. That is Mary. Once we get things underway, you will hear from her and she will introduce herself. This is something Mary needs to do. Due date within 48 hours of us signing a buyer designated brokerage agreement or a seller designated brokerage agreement, Mary needs to have this checked off. If she doesn't, I see it. I call Mary and I say, why didn't you introduce yourself to the new seller or buyer? Keeps her accountable, keeps her on track, right? Preferred partners list, did we provide that to the seller? Conditioned and due dates, did we provide that? These are the conditions of our agreement of purchase.
What do you mean by preferred partners list?
So we surround ourselves by the best people that support our business, which is the best lawyer, the best inspector, the best finance company.
Okay, so you give them a list of service people that they could use. Yeah,
Always, yeah.
okay.
All right, so that's just one for Mary. When we get an accepted offer, we send this automatically to our clients. Mary fills this out. When is the deposit due? When is the lawyer's review clause, financing inspection, PDS? All of that stuff is filled out by Mary. And then the buyer and she track this all along the process. Is it done? 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 Mary does that for me. Okay, the property and closing date is there. Okay, so that's sent automatically upon an accepted agreement of purchase and sale to both our buyers and our sellers to be in the loop. Okay, that's a checklist. This is the team checklist that we have here. And this is everything. So if we list a house, do we have the WWRI signed, seller designated brokerage agreement, PDS, listing addendum, FinTrack, seller 10 sheet, VIP questionnaire, all of that stuff, latest tax bills, this is all the
I
information.
don't know another one. What's WWR?
That's the working with the real estate industry.
Ah, sorry.
Okay, so here's all the information.
What's the tens sheet?
So
Seller tens sheet.
we ask our sellers to provide the top 10 things that they love most about their home and community. Right, so we implement that into our sales, and I can show you that in a minute if you'd like to see it.
Nice.
So this is the admin intro email to the seller, professional photographer book, photos received. So you're getting the gist of everything that we put in play when we do business with someone. All right, going into command. Did we go and create the contact command? Are they in the pipeline? Did we get it? We preempt everything by getting a room created in DocuSign through command. right? So we're set and ready to go. Everything is structured. Everybody's got a responsibility. So I track this in everything that we do in our business. And I insist on this, this is attached to every buyer, every seller. If I walk in there and I see something that's not checked, I challenge it. Where is this not checked? I need this to be checked. Why don't we have it? An offer comes in, I need the latest tax bill, guys. We cannot get an offer in and not be ready. Because when we're ready, here's the beautiful thing. When we are ready to launch a listing, it is one click of a button for Mary or Renee, and the seller's obligations are fulfilled. Within 5 minutes of us accepting an offer on a listing, seller's obligations are fulfilled. So they could give us a 5-minute timeline to fulfill the seller's obligations, and we've got it, right? That's how prepared you need to be. Okay, checklist.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that. We all appreciate. Thanks.
Yep. No problem. So that's how you keep on track. Okay, have checklists. The ones that
these are valuable. I appreciate them.
These are elementary. These are not specific to our market either, because this is Ignite is both Canadian and American, and these are like, what do we normally like? You just saw our checklist, extremely detailed, right down to the finite details, to try and make sure that we're not missing anything, right? But we also have command, guys. You should see the workflow that we've created through our command center, right? It is amazing when you go in and you start your transactions and you've got them logged in there with all of the listing and selling or buyer and seller contracts. We have a huge workflow under there, right? And then when you get an accepted offer, another new workflow. But you can do that all through command. I mean, I know it can be a little overwhelming on this stuff, but you know, that's just to highlight and emphasize the importance of systems and structure in your business, because when you have this kind of structure, you get ahead of everything, you over communicate, you are taking the stress and burden off your clients, and you ensure a smooth transaction and happy clients. Okay, things that go wrong in a real estate transaction. Okay, inspections. Time for you guys to share with me, what can go wrong in an inspection?
You can have a roof that's leaking, you can have a basement with leaks, your septic system might be blocked. The electrical might be wrong, you might have Kitech in there. Oh my God, the list goes on and on. There might be asbestos in the house.
Okay.
You could also have an inspector that provides negative, like kind of overreaches, oversteps in terms of what they should be covering or how they should be addressing the people who are part of the inspection.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The worst is when an inspector quotes a price. When an inspector says, oh, this will probably be a $12,000 fix, boom, yeah, you almost lost your buyer right away.
Holy mama, yep.
So that, yeah, good point, Sherry and Joanne as well. Yeah, that's all the things that you could find. So if you prepare your clients going in, and this is the one thing that I talked to my sellers a couple of days ago when I met them. I said, here's the thing that I really need you to understand. And I know Yolande would have done this with her buyers too. No house is perfect, and the inspector will find something. I don't care if it's even brand new. You can find problems with brand new homes. No house is perfect, all right? It's just when something comes up, how we deal with it. That's the important part. And can we deal with it? Devastating news when we have to call a seller or a buyer and say, we need to terminate because, right? But most of the time we can really work through this. And this is the issue. We need to be able to find solutions with surprise findings. I didn't know there was asbestos in my attic. I didn't have it inspected when I bought it. So what do we do about it? Oh my God, are we going to be able to sell this house anymore? Right? It's up to us to come up with the solutions, right? Report. What happens when a report is very complex or confusing?
But doesn't it fall on us as the agent to simplify and demystify a lot of that stuff?
Okay. I would say we have an obligation to steer them, because we are not professionals at septic evaluations. We are not the professionals of water testing. We're not, when an asbestos report comes back, that's not our job to interpret it. Like, we can if we feel qualified to do that. Okay.
But that could come back on us if we do that.
If we do it improperly, yeah, if we're stepping outside of our depth of knowledge and skill. So what do we do when something very complex comes back, right? We can try and break it down and interpret it. But again, yes, maybe we misinterpret it and these people make a decision to go ahead and buy based on our interpretation.
But let me qualify what I said there is, I would expect that we're getting an inspection done. The inspector is sending a copy of it to us. So it's our obligation to go through that document, talk through it with the inspector. And if there's areas that you're like, whoa, this is a lot of jargon you're using, give me the breakdown of this. You can then use the information you're given from the inspector to say, here's information I got direct from the inspector. Let me simplify some of this for you, to act as a mediator for the client.
Yep, 100%, absolutely. What I would add to that is involve the clients in the discussion. Have a three-way phone call, have a Zoom call to review the inspection results. You're there to challenge the inspector and expand on their findings so that it's to a comfort layman's level to your buyers and sellers, because we are not professionals at, if you guys have ever dealt with Dean Walker from Atlantic Water Investigations, I have often, and I'm telling you, over 50% of the time, had my clients call me and say, I can't make heads or tails out of this report. So do we have good news or bad news? Right? Because they don't know. It's that technical. I reviewed it last night and I would have shared it today if I would have had the third hour. I could have shown you one of Dean's technical reports. That is the most technical report that I could possibly show you that I've encountered in real estate, because he's a geotechnical engineer and he's got very detailed findings and why, right? And it's sometimes very difficult to interpret. Okay, so that's what you would do. You would outsource it, bring in the professionals to interpret that complex or confusing report. The timetable for repairs, right? Ah, man, what do I do if we're supposed to be closing, and if we close any later than this, I lose my interest rate at the bank. I need to close on time, but we can't get the roofer in to fix the problem. What do you do?
Maybe you counter and say that we'll take off the cost of the roof and you can do the roof yourself.
Yep, you could do that. Absolutely. Good point.
Would it start with a conversation with the other agent to say, here are some options? Do you think your clients would be open to discussing A, B, or C?
Definitely. Absolutely. No problem communicating. You know that. Absolutely.
If you do it verbally, then you only got to write it once.
True enough. Let's work through this. You tell me what you think the viable options are. I'll say whether they're an option on our side of it. And if we can come to an agreement on how this is approached, we'll figure it out. Now, a property insurer was the same thing. We had to figure this out, because if we did reduce the price, then the buyer didn't have the money out of pocket when they moved in to fix the problem. So how did we get around that? We were going to close with a holdback, right? Lawyer's going to retain the money, the work gets done, and then the lawyer can release the money to the new owner of the property, or pay the contractor directly with the money that's been held back out of the transaction. All right. So that's a possible solution to that particular repair. Doubt worthiness. Now, what does that mean exactly? It's the interpretation of somebody over somebody else's interpretation, I would think. Okay. You're saying that this has to be done, but I'm saying it doesn't. I think these roof shingles will last 5 years, not having to be replaced right now. So what do we do when we've got that issue, right? We're on different sides of the opinion here, right? Again, work it out, communicate, state your case, they can state theirs, and then you get to move on, right? Appraisals, what happens when it doesn't appraise out? You got to, like it doesn't, won't support your purchase price. That's happening every day right now, guys. What do we do about it? What happens when you offer 150,000 over asking? You know the appraisal is not going to appraise out. So what do you do? When the appraisal report comes back and says, yeah, you promised 725 on your offer, but it's only appraising out to 650.
I would think that might be happening a fair bit right now with the overbidding.
100% it is.
What do you do? Chad?
You you have to have a conversation. And when I'm representing my sellers and when I'm representing my buyers, there's a conversation I have with each of them. And that is, in today's market, with you overpaying or paying over asking price, if there's a shortfall, you're offering this, the average. So I'll give you an example of a house that I sold recently, listed it for $390. We had 4 or 5 offers come in on it. The average of the offers were around $415. Okay, so it's $25,000 over asking. But the one that won the bid came in at $480. So if the appraisal comes in at $415, not $480, what happens? So I called the agent who was representing the buyer and I said, okay, if there's a shortfall in this appraisal, do your people have the cash to make up the difference? And I need to know that before my sellers accept this offer. Okay, so that's the solution to that. Communicate it, your concern, what do I need to ask, which is, do they have the ability to make up the shortfall? And I threw it out there in insinuating, if the appraisal comes out at $415, do they have the extra, whatever, $65,000 in the difference? Because down here, it doesn't match the CMA. Okay, we know the difference between market value and market price. You guys on Wednesday evenings, we beat this to death, right? Market value versus market price. The market value, I could argue with the appraiser. I could call him and say, I can show you 3 other offers where people have offered me an average of $415,000. So I'm gonna argue your appraisal that came in at $390, because I can show you 3 other buyers that would be willing to pay $415. That is the market value for this property, not $390. The buyers are paying market price, which is $480. And yes, I would expect them to make up the $65,000 difference, but I don't expect them to make up the difference between $390 and $480, because they now cannot. So what could you do? You could send it back and you would say, you need to redo this appraisal. Okay, because your appraised value is far lower than
This
what
is really good, and I thank God you're recording it because I really need to go.
All right, no problem, Joanne.
Nice seeing you, Chad, and thanks,
All right.
everybody.
All right, take care. Okay, same thing. When you go through, you're looking for all of these things that could go wrong, and then you have to be able to offer the solutions, right? Credit delays, what do you do about it? Documentation problems, what do you do about it? All right, buyer credit. So these are all the things. Okay, one of the things that's instrumental is, over all of this, find a really good mortgage specialist to work with that knows their job, that knows how to thoroughly pre-approve people, not pre-qualify them and send them out into the market. Pre-approve them, because then all of this stuff generally doesn't come up, right? That would be the way I would preempt that and avoid problems with getting the mortgage approved, right? Buyer doesn't have the full down payment. What could be the solution there?
Well, CMHC would be, if they don't have friends or family that can help support them through that.
And another thing, could you not ask by the host for extra and then they give you the cash back?
Nope.
Sort of something?
No, that's fraud.
Okay, so that's not gonna work.
No. We used to be able to get away with that, but not anymore. What about a vendor take back mortgage? Would that work? Yeah. If I don't have the full $100,000 that I need, I've got 75,000. Would you do a vendor take back mortgage for a 3-year term for 25 grand?
How many of those are actually happening right now?
It probably will happen more and more in this type of market.
Okay.
Right.
You know.
Okay, so other salespeople. This is one of the things that I want to try and highlight. You will find this challenging. Ann De Silva said this, is like, you know what, prepare your mentees that this is going to happen, right? You're going to get a phone call from somebody that's going to bring you an offer on the property and you're going to cringe and say, oh, not this person, not this agent. Yuck. This is not going to be an easy thing, right? I've dealt with them before. They have a bad reputation of doing their business in the, slick, fast way, get the deal done, move on. So what happens if the other person gives bad advice or communicates poorly with either you or their client? What can you do about that?
Again, just communicate more with them. Maybe share with them the best way for you guys to work together and see if they'll come on board with that.
Yep.
And again, just really communicate.
I love that answer, Sherry, because of the one thing that you stated in that explanation is working together. So many people think that you are working opposite, right? You are against the buyer and the buyer's agent. You're not. You are cooperating. You're working together to find a mutual solution for both your buyer and seller in a real estate transaction. Wouldn't you agree? So we are not working against each other. We are working together, and that's an important mindset to have when you're working with other real estate representatives. Okay, Yolanda and I are working together to find solutions to make this happen for both her buyer and my seller. Okay. Poor vendor selection. This is bothering me. This is people not qualifying the people who they work with. Inspectors, bank, mortgage finance people. Poor vendor selection. Not everybody is good or great at what they do. I surround my team with people who are great at what they do. When they no longer become great at what they do, I replace them with somebody who is. Okay, somebody says, who do I use as a lawyer? Okay, I have my top 3 lawyers. And why? I match them with the personality type. Okay, great at what they do. Poor vendor selection makes it very difficult. Maybe you need to fire Sherry. Maybe you need to fire your vendor and get a
My
new one.
cat.
Yeah.
Have you ever dealt with Steve Piggott? That's who I used to use, but he's retiring now.
Steve Piggott, Russell Piggott Jones. Steve, I have, yeah, I've had good experiences with Steve. I have recently had another conversation where I did recommend based on recommendation. I've never used him, so I qualified that and said this particular lawyer I've never used, but I've heard great things, and geographically he's in the Dartmouth area, might be a good fit for you. So he chose to open up a file with this lawyer, and we ended up firing him. He was just so incompetent. We fired him. We moved him over to one of my preferred mortgage lawyers.
That's good though.
Yeah,
it's good.
It's what you want to. It's what you want for your business, right? I didn't like that. It was turbulent. It wasn't as smooth as it could have been, right? So choose the people to surround you and support your business, and choose the best at what you can get. Inattention to detail bothers me the most when I'm dealing with other real estate agents. Okay, these are the Facebook celebrities. In a lot of cases, I'm so pretty I don't have to know my business. Drives me crazy. That's the one thing I don't like about our industry. If you're popular, man, you can do millions of dollars in business. Doesn't really matter what you know, right?
So my fear right now, Chad, is that I'm inadvertently going to be somebody, at least in the beginning, that's going to lack in attention to detail, and not because I don't want to, but because I don't know what I'm missing out on. And that's my biggest fear, is that I'm going to suddenly have this reputation of not having any attention to detail, but it's not because I don't want to, it's because I don't know.
Right? Again, you got to go back and lean on your mentors. These are the guys who are going to steer you through every step of the way. I've got a guy that's just like a wild horse out there. I can't hardly tame him. I want you to slow down. I book my appointments with my guys. If I don't hear from him, I reach out and I say, are you available at 1 o'clock on Thursday? You're out there doing things and I don't know what you're up to. And it's my job to control what you're doing, to make sure you're doing it right. And I give you the best advice I can, but you're not leaning on me. You're just out there doing it. And I don't believe in that way of doing business, right? I need to reel you in, and I need to show you what I know about this process, and hopefully you will adopt good habits that I'm about to teach you and instill in you. But if you're not making that time, then you are forming bad habits, maybe giving bad advice. I don't know who he's using or this person is using for his, his vendor selection. Maybe I could help him smoothen out the road by putting him in touch with the people that I know. right? If you're just choosing random people, you're not qualifying them, you're just trying to get a deal done, and then you're surprised why the mortgage specialist dropped the ball, right? You didn't qualify them. So yes, these are things that, these are the details that your mentors are going to be helping you through. So don't freak out and say, I don't know what I don't know, because they do know what you don't know, and they're there to help you, okay? When you're looking at issues, okay, there are many things during the day of completion. Here's an overview of important dates to remember, all right? So this is something that I showed you in terms of our checklist, the dates to keep you on track, the workflow that's generated through Command. Get used to Command and using that, because it sets out that workflow for you, keeps everything on track. The sales administrator, Joy, and the listing coordinators, they help you like keep track of all of this stuff, okay? And these are the check marks. When you're doing business, I've got this done, I've got this done, I've got this done, okay? So that helps you keep all of this under control, these checklists, all right? So when you now have worked through all of your conditions to the agreement of purchase and sale, and you see some of the pitfalls, some of the conversations, you know how to preempt all of this. Have that conversation, and now that we've worked through all of the conditions of the agreement of purchase and sale, poof, we had some hurdles to get over here, guys, right? But you as the real estate professional have guided them through smoothly, because you were prepared, you communicated, and you did your job well as the project manager. And now the dust is going to settle, because we get to put the sold sign up on the lawn, right? So you understand the importance of communication, setting expectations, having the systems behind you. And that's what gets that sold sign hung on that, or sold sign hung on that lawn, okay? But what from there? Okay, maybe there's a 6 to 8 week calm period, right? You got through it. There were some things, you as the expert helped them over it. You orchestrated all the people that were in the need to support, the mortgage people, insurance people, the inspectors, the lawyer. You arranged all that stuff, and you offered that amazing support to the client when they made that purchase. And they went through that very complex and difficult time, and it was demanding. Everything was time sensitive, and things had to get done. So you shone through that, and now the sold sign is up. What do you do then, guys? What do you do at the date
If
that
they loved me and they thought I was amazing, referrals.
There you go, right? Because that's it. When you have proven how instrumental you were in this transaction, there's a golden opportunity in this transaction and throughout this whole thing. When they're really focused on conditions, are you asking them for referrals? Right? They're trying to figure out if there's anything wrong with this house. Are they going to get their financing? And you're pecking at them and saying, who do you know that's buying or selling right now? Do you think that's an appropriate time to ask for business? You know, when a problem comes up and you're like, I need a solution to finding this out. But by the way, who do you know who's looking for to buy or sell right now? Do you think that's an appropriate time? No, absolutely not. Like, I'm stressed and ready to pull out my hair because I'm going to lose this house or I'm going to lose this buyer. And you want to know if I know somebody buying or selling that wants to go through what I'm going through? Not a good time to ask.
We already know their answer.
I don't know. I don't know what the response would be, but if you're asking at that point in time, real bad timing. So the golden moment, the golden opportunity for you to ask for referrals is when, okay, this is the golden opportunity. So that's page 22. Although the day of the completion may seem like the end, it's really not, because it can actually be the beginning of another relationship. And that is your touch campaign after you close. Okay, with your next buyer or seller referral or a vendor. Okay, providing an excellent customer service for everyone involved, over communicating, setting and exceeding expectations is the key to seizing this golden opportunity. When you slam dunk this thing, you hit it out of the ballpark, they are going to love you for it. Okay, but your job is pretty much done helping them through this transaction when they've met all conditions. You are 90% of the way there. And once they've finally got the relief that the sold sign is up on the lawn, they are sitting back relieved, but very impressed and happy by the way you got them through this process. Okay? The stress is gone now. They don't have to worry about anything. The worry is gone. And it's at that moment when you became a champion at what you do that they appreciate you the absolute most right there and then. Okay? You might want to let the dust settle for maybe 4, 5, 6 days a week. Call them up and connect with them again. Do a debriefing, let them talk out the stress of whatever they went through or lack of stress, share their enjoyment of the process. And when they're at their highest level of appreciation for everything that you just did, that's when you can ask them for the referrals, because they are absolutely at the highest level of appreciation for you then. Yeah.
And a potential testimonial too.
100%. Yeah. Google reviews, testimonials, absolutely. They will want to spread the word about how everything you did was so amazing that everybody needs to work with you as a real estate agent. Okay, that's the golden opportunity.
So that's for buyers and sellers. I was kind of thinking that'd be more for sellers, but that's buyers and sellers.
Oh my gosh, most of the time it is for the buyers.
'Cause I was thinking the buyers would be the day that the day that they move in, you can show up and give them your little gift basket, whatever it is you're gonna do. But you're saying before that, when the sold sign's up, even though they're not in.
Okay, I love that you just said that. I love you. What is the problem with showing up on the day of closing?
Moving,
And
dresses.
They're cuckoo bananas crazy and they're juggling too much. Their brain is not empty enough to receive you.
right, absolutely. You're showing up on one of the busiest days they've got.
Well, I don't necessarily mean like the day of closing, but like when they're like when that stuff is settled, and then right, because it's usually a week after that when someone shows up.
Yep.
My
But-
4 times anyway.
Right. So the highest level of excitement that the buyer has or the seller has is when you've hung the sold sign up. Their worries are now over. It is now theirs unconditionally. You've worked through some problems, and they have the highest amount of appreciation for the things that you just got them through. If that level of intensity fades, and what will happen 8 weeks later, do they still remember everything as fresh as in when you just finished it? Right? So that will fade a little bit over time. And when you get to closing, they really don't remember all of that intensity that you guided them through. And that's why the height of appreciation kind of fades and dulls a little bit coming to closing, right? Then when you hand them the keys, of course, this is an exciting day, but they got so much to organize. Power hookups, moving trucks. What do I do with my pet on moving day? Where are my kids today? All that kind of stuff is running through their mind, and you're trying to peck them for appreciation, right? A week later, and there's a follow-up process. So that's we're having this discussion on leaving good impressions, okay? So that's what happens in this golden moment where they have this appreciation. But here it says follow up with everyone, because guys, you did this with a team. You were the quarterback. You need to reach out to the team. Wouldn't you agree? Say thank you. Come from appreciation. Call the lawyer and say, thank you for being such an instrumental support in this process to the buyers and to my business. That would be a good practice. Reach out to the mortgage specialist that went the extra distance to be able to make sure that they got all of this processed and approved. What an amazing job you did. I really want to say thank you for the support and attention and professionalism that you added to my buyer's process or our buyer's process, right? Reach out to everybody, the whole team, right? And it is a team. It's a joint effort. You're the quarterback or the project manager of this whole team, and you got to reach out with your appreciation, because at the same time, that just forges your relationship with these people. And what are the chances that if the lawyer has an estate where somebody passes away and they're saying like, listen, we need to sell the house. Do you have any real estate agents that you could recommend? Do you think by you reaching out and forging that relationship and showing the appreciation to him that he wouldn't just refer that person to you? Of course they would. Same thing with the lawyer, the mortgage people, the mortgage specialists or the insurance companies. all the people that were instrumental in guiding this process and working along with you to be able to get the job done well. Okay. So that is that excellent client experience. And this is the way to wrap it up and follow up with everybody and come from a position of contribution and appreciation. Show gratitude, right? Now, I will show you very, very quickly, guys, and I know we're running out of time here, but this is something that I thought would be good to show you, okay? Do you see this file right here? Where my arrow is? Appreciation, okay? One of the things that I find is that there's not enough of it. So yesterday, I just scrolled back within the last 3 days of times of people that you can appreciate. And this is part of the course material, guys. Do you see these 3 names? Ann De Silva, anybody recognize that name? Yep. Awesome, awesome broker. Mary, which is my personal assistant, Mary. Yolande, which is an agent that I cooperate with in the last transaction. Okay, this is a screenshot. Okay, and working with Ann. Many thanks, and thanks as always for your prompt responses. Okay, show appreciation, right? This is our broker who's taken her time out to help me through a situation. And thanks for your prompt responses, like amazing responses. Thank you, Ann. I appreciate when I reach out to you, you get back to me immediately with what I need, right? And she reassured me, you need me to jump in, I'll jump in for you anytime. Awesome. You built my confidence right there and then. And I absolutely have the utmost confidence in what Ann does. All right, I was away for the weekend. Hey, Mary, thanks for all your help this weekend. First thing I did, right? I appreciate that you worked hard over the weekend for my business. I was away. Mary stepped in with Laura, got a lot of business done. First thing I did was offer appreciation. And the same thing with the cooperating real estate agent. Okay, this was the last deal that we did. Yikes, she just explained everything that was going on. This was a little bit of the, the results from the property inspection, and she's still doing it. She's out there trying to get work done. And I said, yikes, long day for you. Thanks for all your hard work on this, Yolande. Do you think if I just took Yolande for granted that she would enjoy working with me? Right, that I don't acknowledge, that I really appreciate? Do you think she will go the extra mile the next time she sells my property because she knows that I appreciate what she does? If I don't appreciate, take it for granted, and I try to look like the champion without her on the pedestal, it's not going to be the same relationship. So you have to have appreciation for people, guys, and you have to acknowledge that from time to time. This is the relationship business that we're in, guys. So the better the relationships, the smoother the transactions, the more value you will be adding to your clients. Okay.
Dennis has his hand up.
I noticed that Andrew Perkins does that. I follow him on a lot of his stuff, and I've used him in the past. He was one of the agents that bought our first house through back in 2008.
Yep.
And seeing he does it all the time and introduces that, and it's definitely great. I do want to point out something on a more humorous note. You're missing a name in that group.
What group?
The thanks
In the
group.
appreciation group.
Just saying. Laura Lee.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah. Well, I don't normally text Laura Lee because I live with her.
We don't see those moments of appreciation, guys. Let's hope for Chad. We don't see those moments of appreciation.
So when you're finished with this transaction and you followed up with everybody, okay, and you've given your client a great customer experience, now is the best time for us for a referral and a testimonial because all the parties are at their happiest. Okay, everyone has reached the outcome that they've desired, and you've shown your professionalism multiple times throughout the transaction. Okay, then you roll them into the touch campaign after closing. Okay, you want to keep in touch with them. This is the post-closing efforts that you make to keep and continue that relationship with the clients so that they're a client for life and they're your advocate and they're willing to throw your hat in the ring to say, you need to call this agent in order to deal with them because they are awesome, right? When you have people splashing agents' names all over Facebook that they did such an amazing, awesome job, pay attention, right? They did it right. And you want your name splashed out there with if you concluded a transaction and your name's not splashed out there, you might want to reflect of how you could have done better. Okay. But that's the results that you want. Okay. The day of completion, you should be, this should be a signal to you to start them on the 33 touch program immediately through command, right? That is keeping in touch with these people and continuing to offer value in their lives as a real estate practitioner. But also if it's just nothing more than a friendly hello, I hope everything is going great in your new house and it's everything you ever thought it would be. That's your note card, right? That's part of your touch campaign, all right? These are called smart plans that you can execute through command. So at one point, you will get set up on that and you will be able to reach out to your database, especially your past clients, okay?
Awesome.
Okay. Call your new past clients. The buyers and sellers that you just closed are now a member of the special club that you host. All right. So get that new phase of your new relationship started with personal calls to them. So once you've closed, call them 1 week and then 2 weeks after the completion date. I felt gut wrenched one time when one of my clients called me about 3 weeks after they closed because I was busy, but I should not have been too busy to miss this step. He called because he had a question about the boundary line of his property. And the first thing he said is, geez, we worked with you for like 3 months and then you disappeared. So you just took the money and run, huh? I felt gut wrenched.
Ouch.
And I said, my God, I apologize that you feel that way, Rick. Unbelievable that I didn't call and I got so busy and time just flew by. Like, of course, I wanted to know how you guys get settled in and things like that. But I hope that's not the opinion you have of me. And, but at that point, it was a learning lesson. He felt like I was a paycheck player. I got him closed, moved on, and never looked back. And I was like, how is that a client for life, Chad? That just, no. Learn from your mistakes.
You fumbled the ball. You were already getting ready to spike it and you fumbled it at the end.
That's right.
Dude.
Here,
well, you like the quarterback, right? So
quarterback fumbled the ball, and that's what I did. I mean, and that will happen to the best of us, I guess. And that was a real big learning lesson for me. That was a mistake because this should be on your checklist of things to do. The task should automatically prompt and say 1 to 2. First week. Usually, it is like a day or two after. Give them some breathing space. Get them moved in. Call them a couple of days after the closing and just say, hey, how did you get settled in? You all moved in and things are going good? Right on. I'm glad to hear that was a smooth transition into the property. And then you sign off on that conversation within a week later, check in with them again. All right, just making sure that now that you've got nestled in and you're comfortable for a week, that you're finding everything is working out well. You haven't found any negative surprises or anything like that. Is there anything I can help you with? And you're like, you know what? The drain is actually clogged downstairs. I don't know what's going on. Well, listen, I've got a good plumber. Maybe I can send him by. Right? That's the kind of thing that you could offer in terms of value follow-up, creating that relationship with the clients and making sure that they know that you're still with them pre-close or post-closing, right? Not that you're a paycheck player.
Something that you can also do, and I'm thinking of this for myself, is hopefully I will be insanely busy. So that's the plan, insanely busy. And I think that when it's still fresh in my mind, I might draft like a follow-up email to say, I'm going to give you a call tomorrow to follow up on this email. But to draft an email, time it to go out on a certain date and have a BCC back to you. So that's your click to kind of say, okay, you need to call them, but also put a reminder in your mail to say, like in your calendar to say, here, follow up. But at least you got the email out so that you have that in their inbox, whether they look at it or not, you've got it. Then you follow up saying, I'm just following up on my email. I noticed you haven't had a chance to respond. You must be so busy. Quick check-in, want to make sure you're doing great.
Yep, absolutely.
Kind of save myself from myself.
Yep. Absolutely. Now you do in command, you have all those task reminders where you set it up and this is all part of your system. That's an auto reminder. It'll come to you in your Kelly app or your KW app and say, okay, there's a task that's due today. And that is, I got to reach out to these folks, make sure that time doesn't slip by. So 3 weeks later, they're like, yeah, I took the money and run, huh? Yeah, you don't want that. So absolutely, whatever. However you can set it in your calendar, reminder prompts, tasks. Make sure you don't skip this because once the property closes, you want to make sure that you have that ongoing relationship. Okay. Again, going back to a very satisfied customer, you want feedback. You want to know how well you did and if there's any room for improvement. Okay. If you're scoring less than 6, then there's room for improvement. If you're scoring 8, I'm telling you, don't settle for an 8. Shoot for 10, land at 9. Right? Just to think that you're going to get rated 10 all the way through, well, high expectations, and I hope you get there. But that should be your goal. Settle for a 9 if you have to, because then you have got, you've offered great experiences for this person. If you were in charge of my business, what's the one thing that you would change? That's a good question. I would answer my phone more often.
Facebook. You get on Facebook.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yep. Never.
Man, I would drop dead, I think, if I ever saw Chad doing stuff on Facebook like himself.
Yeah, no, doesn't happen. What did I do well? All right, there's the pat on the back there. Love the fact that you communicated with me every step of the way. Like you were in control, you communicated, I heard from you often. One of the biggest complaints, guys, of any consumer is that when you're going through a process with somebody, that you never hear from the person that you're working with. Like, man, they need you. Where are you? Right? If I was to give feedback about Ann De Silva as my broker, the one thing that I know is that when I've reached out to Ann, bam, she's right back to me every time. And that's why I always remind her how appreciative I am that she is prompt responses to me all the time. I love it, right? What do I do well? Absolutely, Ann. When I reach out to you, it's usually in that critical phase. I don't usually reach out to the broker team that often, but when I do, I usually need to know pretty soon what the answer will be. I can't wait on this stuff, right? Because I'm rolling with a transaction here, and it's time sensitive. Prompt responses to me is very important, and that's why I showed that one specifically about Ann and getting back to me. May I include your comments in my marketing materials? Okay. Appreciate that. If you write me a letter to tell me that I've done a wonderful job, can I share that with people so that they know that I have a history of this, right? And that I just don't fake it.
Testimonial.
Right? So customer service focus, right? Feedback from all parties of the transaction. Call your mortgage broker. How do you think I did? Call your lawyer. How do you think my contract work looks? Right? Whatever. Okay. On closing, you want to show your appreciation to your clients, right? So this is something that's kind of a standard practice for a lot of agents. Not everybody does this, but a lot of agents do. If you send them a handwritten thank you note, right? Take the time to write out a card that says, I really appreciate it, okay? And then you go, if you want to include a little token of appreciation like a gift, and these are small gifts that you can say, send them movie tickets. There's a lot of gift baskets out there, gift certificates to places. I usually show up on the closing date or pre-close, and I hand them a bottle of champagne. I was like, here, guys, pop this cork. And you got to know your clients. If they're not drinkers, that's, there's no point in that. But most of the people that I do business with, eventually I get to know, you'll have a beer with me someday. So I know it's appropriate for me to show up with a bottle of champagne to blow it out and celebrate what you've just accomplished. This is a big deal, right? It's a big deal in what they've just done. And you have to recognize that. And a lot of people want to recognize that by giving them a little token of thanks, right? Include your business cards, one for your client to keep and a few more to hand out to their friends and families to celebrate you, right? You're thinking about buying or selling, call this agent. They're amazing, all right? Keep in touch, maintain regular contact, use the scripts that you're practicing, make sure they're your own and use them in your own words. Okay, different things that you can offer in terms of tokens of appreciation. Getting paid, all right? This is really, it is rewarding, but you're not a volunteer. Okay, rewarding when somebody gives you a high five, hugging you and saying, this was an incredible experience, and we have to thank you so much for being involved in this with us, right? And helping us through it all. That's great. That's very rewarding, but we do have a family to feed, right? So we got to get paid. So most real estate commissions have rules requiring that surround files, right? So you turn in your files to your broker, and it contains after a number of days of execution of the contract, so that the file can be audited for compliance. All right. So that's what the broker review does. They take your file, they look through it, and make sure everything is compliant. Okay. The long story short here is you have to have all of your paperwork in order to get paid. Okay. So if you're missing things in files, you're going to get compliance messages from our administrators saying, and our broker team saying, you're missing things. A lot of my issue is FinTrack, getting that film, because that can be signed anytime. But once you sit with a buyer and you go over the working with the real estate industry brochure, and then the buyer seller's designated brokerage agreement, and then if you're doing a listing addendum, a property disclosure statement, a schedule of leased equipment, blah, 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 you just forms up the wazoo, and you're there for 2 hours, 2.5 hours to try and list. The last thing I want to do is burden them for the last thing about filling out a FinTrack form when it can be done later on, right? Good habit to get into to get it completed, but for me personally, my biggest flaw, I think, would be not getting that signed. But Mary knows that already. She just knows. Did you get your, I see it's not done. Did you get the information, or should I reach out to the client? Reach out to the client, boom, every time, right? And then she gets all the FinTrack information done and sent in for file approval, all right? So you have to do a trade record sheet. Are you guys familiar with what that is? Yes? Jerry, yep. Dennis? No? Okay. A trade record sheet is when you have an accepted agreement of purchase and sale, you're required to fill out a trade record sheet about all of the details of the transaction, okay? Who are the real estate agents that are involved in the transaction? Who are the buyers in the transaction? Who are the sellers in the transaction? The lawyers that represent each of the buyers and sellers. And then there's a breakdown of, and then there's the conditions that you have to specify all of the conditions of the agreement of purchase and sale. And then the breakdown of the real estate commission. Who gets how much out of the commission that's being paid? Okay.
Is this a KW thing, or is this?
We have our own. I do believe there's a KW thing as well.
I don't remember doing this in the course.
In which course? Your licensing?
Hmm.
No,
Yeah.
it's broker specific. It's broker.
Yeah, it's okay. So it's KW thing.
Yeah, like each broker, I'm sure, has their own trade record sheets that you can fill out.
Oh, okay.
I got Renee to generate one for my team, so that's what we use, right? But you have to fill out the trade record sheet, and everything on the trade record sheet has to be completed, and then the brokers will eventually sign off on the file, and then they will send you your commission. They will fund your commission. Okay. So are you prepared for contract to close? Okay, your client signed the contract today. Would you, so this is the question to you guys. This is a big question to you specifically. I could fill this out, but my level of where I am in my career, and a lot of the agents in the office who have 5 years or more in business, even then, you asked me 10, 12 years into my real estate career to fill this out. Am I prepared? I would have to say no. I am now because I've got restructured in my career, but you guys are starting out and you get to structure with good, proper structure right out of the gates. Okay. So if you ask yourself, okay, are you prepared for contract to close? Okay. If your client signed a contract today, would you be ready?
I'm not prepared for it to be open, let alone closed.
There you go. Make sure you're fully prepared by having your support team and other resources lined up. Who are we talking about when we talk about that?
So legitimately, your mortgage broker, the lawyer, inspectors, everybody that's in this process, have your go-to people lined up so that you have them to provide to your clients.
Okay, so I would say that would be part of your support team and your resources. Do not forget about your mentors, guys. They are your resource and your support team right now. Lean on them for everything, right? You want to know what you don't know, that's who you turn to. Okay? Have them lined up. Okay, review the action items below. Okay, indicate which items that you have already completed and assigned dates to, and those that you have not yet completed. All right, add your buyer or seller client to your database. Okay, making sure is that done? Yes. If not, when is it going to be done? Okay, add allied resources. Do you guys have currently a list of allied resources? Just a show of hands. No, Dennis, you do. So Jen, you got to work on yours. Okay, these are people that you want to book appointments with on Zoom calls. All right, hey, it's Jen Demings here. I'm just wondering if you might have a little bit of time on Wednesday afternoon to have a Zoom call with me. I'd like to introduce myself, and I'm new to the real estate business. I'm reaching out to form some relationships with some really good mortgage specialists. I'm just wondering if you have some time to catch up and chat and let me know a little bit about you and what you do. Okay, that's a call that I would be making because I want a good team of mortgage specialists around me, right? Because I don't want to be running the streets for my 5 weekends in a row for the mortgage broker to give me a declined application for the mortgage. Nothing more defeating for the agent, or sorry, the buyer client, the seller client, and the agents involved. A lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of expectations just went down the drain. Okay, so there are your allied resources. If it's not done, when do you plan to have that done by? Be intentional with this because this is important to have these people around you. Lawyers, mortgage specialists, insurance companies, inspectors, all of that. Have those people around you. Identify a calendar system with reminder capabilities that you'll use to keep track of events, deadlines, and contract to close practices. Okay, for my two of the three mentees, we've already talked about calendars and schedules. Man, if you're not waking up with purpose every day, there's a problem. Okay, you are just reactional every day. Okay, so have a calendar with the reminders to keep track of events, deadlines, and contract to close processes. Now, for me, I have a checklist, and so do my administrators. Okay. Okay, leveraging your resources. Prepare for a transaction as detailed in and full of paperwork. Look to your productivity coach, ALC members, MCA, or your mentor in the office for assistance. Okay, that is that leaning into your resources there, right? Your team support and resources. Okay, these are the people that you should be leaning on. Okay, pull it all together with your action plan. Okay, attend contract classes in your market center. Good, I know you guys are talking about you're getting overeducated at this point. It's time to just go put things into play, right? And I agree. Learn, take a break, put in practice. Then go back and learn, put in break, go practice. I mean, your football team is not constantly practicing, are they? Well, right now they might be. But eventually they go and put into play what they've been practicing. It's game day. Right? Your game day is to go out there and find clients to work with. And then when you finally sign them, game on. Let's go do this. Right? So you can't keep practicing without putting it into play. So this is the action steps that you need to take. Okay, review and understand the checklists in this session, and we can share the checklist from my team if you guys want a copy of them. Text me and remind me of that.
Yes, I'll do it right now.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, review the buyer and seller closing process. Okay, for me, guys, I have a buyer guide. You guys were provided with that resource when you signed up for Ignite. Did you read through the buyer and seller presentations? Okay, the buyer guide from beginning to end. Be familiar, rehearse that. It's going to be your crutch when you're meeting with buyers and sellers, and it's going to help you explain the process a whole lot more fluidly.
I'm going to print it off. I'm just going to print it off and take it with me as a checklist while I'm there.
Yes, you should use it as a guide.
Yeah, like it's, I'm going to go to Jen, and Jen's going to print me a book. I'll have to pay her for marketing.
There you go. Right.
You can totally steal all of it and order everything for sure.
Right on. So build a post-close system. Now, okay, this is your smart plans, right? Touch campaigns on command, right? Personal calls, customer satisfaction, forms for them to fill out. Those types of things are instrumental. Make sure that that's an action plan once you close the deal. Okay. Here's something, time block my calendar for these action items. All right. So when Michael and I sat last, I can't even remember what day this is today, but whenever we had our last meeting, I said, Michael, here's the thing. Last Friday, I asked you to put together your schedule for this week. You need that because that is now working with intention. So on absolutely did what he was asked to do. I said, okay, now, did you do your calendar? He said, yes, I did. I said, I'm going to share your screen, or you can share your screen with me. I want you to work through it. And once we worked through it, I said, okay, I love it. You've got the structure there. Now we have to fill the gaps. What's important as well? Time blocking. For what? Action items. All right. He copied me with on Thursdays at 11:45. I block that time for education and training. I want to be educated in training in something that I feel that I could be better in. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11:45 in the morning, I've time blocked on my schedule. That's what I do at 11:45 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I watch a video. I watch somebody prepare something and present it. I watch somebody, I work to learn. And that's why I time block. But if I don't have that in my calendar to time block, it's whenever I get to it. And you're not intentional when you work that way, right? You have to work with an intention. And that's
You
what
never get to it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Prepare for the next class, okay? Download the paperwork. And that's why I asked this morning, and I wanted to raise a hand. Who printed it off? Who did that, right? Because that's working with intention and that's being prepared. If you didn't download your paperwork and you weren't prepared coming in, change that habit when you work with your clients, because it's going to affect that process that you're working with them through, okay? If you're not prepared to do what you do, the worst thing is, and this is something I'm in my heyday, I showed up for a day of showings and I was like, I didn't print off the listings. Duh. If you are unprepared, how do you think they're going to view you as a real estate professional? Right? Learn from all this stuff. Learn from experience. All right. Okay, so this is your final Ignite. Coming into tomorrow, Laura, she'll probably talk to you about the 10-4. Okay, that's something you guys need to do. It's the accountability measure. You want to do it, it's for your benefit. All right, we covered, why you should do it and the things that you need to put in there, your 10-10-10-10. All right, that's up to you guys, right?
Thanks so much, Chad.
Yep, no problem.
Appreciate your time today.
Yep, my pleasure. So at the end of all this, guys, you guys can wrap up the next couple of, that was the last, that was really the last of the student workbook. Recall and remember. Okay, this is for you guys. Maybe you can fill this out after the fact, a little bit of homework to do, reminding yourself, like the exam, what are the 4 steps process outlined in this chapter to have a successful closing? Okay, go away and answer that, because that's the guts of this, right? What are the important things to take away? Those 4 steps are critical to ensuring a successful closing. Okay, the contract to close process. When is these are kind of little, are you paying attention? When's the deposit money due? Okay, we talked about that, because I said, does it necessarily have to be within 24 hours? No, right? So that's a question. What are some of the solutions for loan appraisal issues? We talked about that. Or sorry, loan approval issues, like what are some of the solutions? How do you get paid, right? How do you actually get paid? Knowing all that.
Having your documents done.
Right on.
How about the brokerage getting your first void check? I don't even have that yet.
We'll check. Okay. Right on.
I'm working on it. Okay.
Okay, guys. So
Thanks.
that's it. That's it for me. If you guys can share very quickly, if just 1 or 2 ahas from all day, from this morning.
Oh my God.
Your own personal experience. I am just all about that. Just
Right.
the tips and tricks that you give us and what you do.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, really big.
How much I still don't know. Because there's the checklist, like I feel like we need like those checklists. I need the checklist. and not just yours, but checklists for everything. Like
Right.
or
That's
yeah,
part of
everything. I still feel so empty. As full as my head is, I feel empty.
And I've seen you removing your cap, and I know you're starting to stress because the volume the volume of information can be overwhelming. Okay? This is the introduction. It's not meant to overwhelm. I apologize, but I mean, I'm still 40 minutes over time, and I tried to push through this as fast as I could. They condensed a 3-hour into 2 hours, right? And you know, we've lost half of the people that signed on earlier. There were 6 of us, now we're down to 3 of you, right? So I
And we're the original 3.
what?
Right? The OGs.
Yeah. There you go.
All right, thank you so much. My aha, Chad, was the who do you know that might be buying or selling right now instead of do you know? So it was a tidbit. I literally everything that Dennis and Jen said, but the only other thing that I had written down other than those points and frantically tried to save things was that comment, which was a great question. And that's how I'll be phrasing it from now on. So thank you.
And I
'Cause it's
have
not
that
putting
written.
it- Yeah.
And I have that written down, but the other piece to add to that, Sherry, which because for me and Chad pointed out, like I've been in Alberta for 10 years, right? Like, and I've been out there probably more than I've been here over the last 15, off and on, back and forth, even though I'm from here. And it was also just adding in the piece to, like, you know, asking for, if you do know anybody there who wants to sell, get them to call me and I can refer them to somebody. Right, or whatever the scenario is, and then that way there, because I do have a referral up there, and she's amazing. If we were able to get a Keller Williams up there, I'd like for her to go over there because she's great.
Yeah.
100%.
Awesome. All right. Thanks so much. I gotta run.
All right, no problem. Me too. So, all right, have a great day, guys. Hope you enjoyed.
Thanks, Chad. See you
Bye.
guys.
Thanks, Ted.
Thank you.
Bye, Dennis. Bye, Jen.
Thanks as usual.
Yeah.